Good day, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Viper S of Viperland, and I am back here in 428 Shibuya Scramble, having a good time with it. I remember we left off with something. Oh, we left off with a split here. That's where we left off. We left off on Kano. Okay. We had a lot of splits. We had a lot of stuff happening, but we left off specifically with this decision, which I don't think matters much. Oh, man. But also, hello, we've got Ramen, we've got Fister, we've got... my speaker set too loud. We got Sasafune, Sir Jude, and Birdie. Welcome everybody to Viperland in the chat, and obviously, Ramen. 3 whole years. 3 subscriptions. Holy crap. 3 heckin' years. Let's do it. I can do this one. Thank you so much. That's huge. It's crazy that I've been affiliated long enough that there are people resubscribing for longer than 3 years. It both feels like I started streaming yesterday and feels like I've been doing it forever, depending on the moment. Good times in the land of snakes. I'm glad to hear it. I've always been saying that I'd be doing this anyway. This is what I'd be doing. If nobody was watching me and nobody was interested, I'd just be doing it without a camera and maybe talking a bit less. But like, this is what I'd be doing with my nights anyway. The fact that there are people who enjoy it, the fact that we've built a community here, there are people who love it and support it, it's nothing short of amazing to me. And I feel like I don't say this enough. I tend to gloss over the, like, oh, I do my spiel of like, oh, thanks, that's heckin' great, lots of months. But I really don't feel like I say often enough how much it means, and truly and honestly how much it means, that there are people that love it so much that are here this long. It's insane, and it's wonderful. But we should also get back to the game as well. Enjoy our else. Yeah, that was the theme of what I was trying to say. Birdie gets it. I get the ability to, so no worries, it's okay. So, guy was asking us what we should do in terms of, oh, no, not autoplay. We couldn't autoplay here now. I don't think we can scroll up because we just... Oh, okay. Releasing the name of... The name of who? Oh, because, Tanaka. The name of Tanaka. That's what it was. Ah. Rip the... Unfortunately, can't stay too long. Yeah, no worries. We just started. We haven't actually done the thing. So yeah, they found out Tanaka was the body in the van. And he's asking us whether we should... whether he should release the name or not. From Kano's point of view, I think they should hold back. From the Ripple's echoing out point of view of specifically letting Hitomi and Osawa hear about it, I think releasing the name is a metagaming good idea. But I think from a cop perspective, I think holding it back is the right call. So I'm going to go with what I think Kano should do, even though I think A is the better decision. I think A is the better decision, but we're going to go with this one. I think we should hold back for now. Because I remember... Oh, let me join the boss too. Because that one matters how many people join. We still don't know if Mamoru Tanaka was murdered, or if he committed suicide, Kano pointed out. We should at least wait until we know that much. This case had so many loose ends that could lead in dangerous directions. It would pay to be as prudent as possible. Usei paused for a moment and thought, then nodded. I see what you mean. Alright then. Then, without another word, he headed back towards the conference room. Dead would really do any good? True. Hitomi doesn't know he's bad, though. Osawa does. That was the only thing. Yeah, knowing he's dead wouldn't help, just the name. Way longer, more complex. Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, I know visual novels have length and complexity, but it's still more than I thought. I don't know where to start. Oh, huh. So this game takes place over 5 separate characters over a day that all have interacting and crossing storylines. The guy we're playing as now is a cop who started out looking into a kidnapping case and is now working on the fact that there might be terrorists with deadly viruses that they could let loose on the entirety of Japan. That's the short term what we're doing at this exact second. But yeah, there's a lot. Also, hey Seventh, how you doing tonight? Welcome to Viperland in the chat. You missed the hunt, I hate to say. On the TV, the governor's press conference was still going on. I've just requested that each of the railroad companies, starting with JR, stop running trains through Shibuya Station until further notice. So we're stuck in Shibuya. Okay. We get Aki again? Yeah. Were we at a dead end with Aki, or did he hit it to be continued? Oh, we hit the end of Aki's. Okay. Yeah. As far as the roads go, Route 246 has already been closed to traffic. The executive looked pale as he spoke to the crowd. Is there any possibility of a bioterrorist attack? What about the people who are still in Shibuya? The reporters unleashed a barrage of questions. The governor's face scrunched up. As I've already made clear, this is not a complete blockade, yet, because modern Japan does not have a system for enacting martial law, there are few ways that the government could effectively quarantine Shibuya. Excuse me. There's always cliffhangers. Oh, his cliffhanger was finding out that his dad hired Cane Man to go after Hitomi because Hitomi shares a blood type with his sister, the very rare blood type of his sister. Oh yeah, not to kill her, but to get her heart for transplant. In the case of a potential viral infection, the infectious disease law allows for the city to be partitioned into areas of restricted movement. If authorities do not want to acknowledge the existence of the top-secret UA virus, however, taking such an action would be rather tricky legally. A fictionally rare blood type. Yeah, I assume. Oh wait, no, yeah, we did cover that before. It is actually a thing, right? Because we looked into that when they were first talking about it. Yeah, the game is that Gold King? Clearly, yeah. We've actually learned things from this game, which is crazy. There's nothing to stop anyone from leaving Shibuya on foot. Isn't what you're describing de facto martial law? Spat one reporter. Of course not, the governor snapped. You should be well aware that martial law is illegal. I couldn't declare it even if I wanted to. If you wanted to? So this is a... He literally said, I couldn't, even if I wanted to, which implies he doesn't. So this is a bioterrorist issue then. I never said anything of the sort. The press conference was devolving into chaos. Kano was unsurprised, given the circumstances. Still, everyone was doing their best insofar as they knew how. So why not me, Kano thought. Yeah, Kano's having everybody in this game is having a bad day. I feel like Minorikawa is having the least bad day, but only because he's staying upbeat about things. Also, I meant to say, totally skipped over it. I meant to say, Unwise Guy, welcome to Viperland in the chat. Sorry, I got distracted answering questions that didn't actually give you a welcome. Doesn't matter what I do. I just want to be doing something. Just letting time tick by without trying to take action was more than he could bear. Kano began to worry about Rumi and decided to give her a call. That's realistic. Was worried about Sasayama and decided, we're picking B. I'm going to read what C is, but we're picking B. Thought about Sasayama's wife and just, he did tell us to give his wife the present, but I have to know how he's doing. So C might actually be the better choice. I'm picking B. Yeah. Yeah, this is a bad day all over. We gotta see how Sasayama's doing. Kano was worried about Sasayama and decided to visit him in the hospital. Good. We got it. Yeah, we got it now. That was, as soon as I read that, it's like, nope, it's B. As he was making his way towards the hospital, Kano spotted a girl sitting on the pedestrian overpass. Hana is too good for this game, and way too good for her father. She looked like she was on the verge of tears. Concerned, he stopped beside her. Are you waiting for someone? He asked. The girl simply bit her lip and said nothing. Oh yeah, she beat the hell out of him too. I don't remember time-wise if that was before or after this point though, because that was another character. Are you lost? Do you need a policeman? The relatively low crime rate in Japan, combined with rather high police personnel numbers in Tokyo, means that officers, particularly beat cops, often have plenty of bandwidth to deal with more minor issues. Again, the girl gave no answer. I'd hop out before you ended last time. Oh yeah, no worries. Oh good, no worries. It's all good. Where did it come from? Kano tried. Still nothing. Yeah, no. Was she with Tama? I think it's when we were playing as Tama. She gets reunited with her dad and just beats the... Oh yeah, it was with Tama, because we saw her poetry, which we know because the in-game hints, or story stuff, she will go on to be a great songwriter and poetry writer, which is awesome. But then she just beat the ever-loving heck out of her dad with the with the poetry binder, and it's like, yeah, good. He deserves it. He just decided to go and call for a female officer when the girl hesitantly spoke at last. Heaven Publishing. After a little coaxing, she told him where that was. It turned out it was on the way to Shibuya Central Hospital, not too far from where they were now. Why don't I take you there then? Kano said. I'm already headed in that direction anyway. The girl seemed a bit reluctant at first, but eventually she agreed to go with Kano. The nauseated, so I'm just gonna head out now. Oh yeah, no worries, feel better. I hope the resting early is going well for you, and I hope the stomach calms down, because nauseous stomach stuff is awful, so fingers crossed that passes as quick as it came on. Feel betterment. Kano parted ways with the girl outside the building where Heaven Publishing was located. He noticed that she hesitated to enter at first, but eventually vanished inside. Kano's phone rang as he was about to continue on his way. When he peered at the incoming call display, his heart nearly stopped. There was Teteno's name. Kano quickly pressed the button to accept the call. Detective Teteno? Detective Teteno, is that you? Somebody I didn't expect to be hearing from right now. Man, it's distracting us from the actual important thing in this game. Is Sasayama okay? I don't care about the rest of it anymore. We need Tama to be safe, we need Miku to be safe, and we need Sasayama to be safe. Everything else is tertiary. There's a whole mountain of things Kano wanted to ask. Just what had he been doing this whole time? Why did he let Alcar-1 go free? And what had happened to Hitomi? While he was trying to decide what question to pose first, Teteno spoke. I've secured Maria Osawa. Did she end with a... Well, now I gotta check. It's been a week since we played. No. Ooh. Ooh, something between here and there might be... No, it was a bad end. Or not a bad end, it was a dead end before. Yeah, it was with Caveman. You're right, she's up on the roof with Caveman. So it might... Maybe that is Teteno, though. Yeah. But, like, why would he wait this long to call? Like, why would he wait that long to call? The time difference is crazy. What? But it's seeming way more likely that he's Game Man now. But, like, why would he... Have to get out and tell us when he's Teteno. Yeah. Well, he's making a call, not answering a phone call. Teteno's calling Kano. What? The word came out as a startled gasp. Detective Teteno, you have to bring her here ASAP. Right now she's... Teteno cut him off. You need to bring Hitomi Osawa to my... Yep. Yeah, 100% then. Because that's... He only took Maria to get Hitomi. So, yeah. We had our suspicions. This is 100%. Yeah, our suspicions are confirmed, and Cane Man is definitely Teteno. 100%. Also, hello, Grim. Welcome to Viperland in the chat. We literally just... He just made a call, so like... You need to bring Hitomi Osawa to my location at once. What? Why would a cop take a hit... Like, an offer to kill somebody from a random electronics store dude, though? Like, why? He's the antagonist of some stories. He's not the overarching big threat to the city, but he is definitely the person who's been chasing two of our protagonists trying to shoot them all day. So yeah. Maybe he needs some money, I guess, yeah. Like, I wouldn't call him the overarching protagonist, but he's definitely the antagonist, but he's definitely an antagonist to some. Hitomi? Osawa? Yes. I heard over the wireless that the man from the US Embassy had her in custody. Oh, yeah, he does, technically. Kano hadn't been listening to the most recent wireless traffic. Apparently Stanley had managed to find Hitomi. Excuse me. But what was Teteno getting at? Yeah, so, okay, confirmed he's the same guy. Definitely don't understand the why, but I'm sure we'll find out. Villain MC? Well, it's because she has the rare blood tape, and there's a girl who needs... One of the protagonist's sisters needs a heart transplant of that blood type. So his father apparently put out a hit on Hitomi, who has the blood type, so that they can get the heart transplant to save his sister's life. And we just found that out at the end of last stream, so this is all fairly recent stuff. What was Teteno getting at here? Wait, hold on. What for? I mean, why do you need me to bring Hitomi Osawa to you? There was no reply. Detective Teteno, answer me. Oh, Teteno's the guy that Kano looks up to. He's like his role model as a detective too, by the way. So, yeah. Detective Teteno, answer me, please. Teteno replied, as if he hadn't heard Kano's questions. There's an office building in Nanpaidai called South Hill. I'll be waiting for you on the rooftop. If you don't bring her, I'll kill Maria. Which, besides the fact that obviously Kano's a good cop and doesn't want somebody just getting shot for no reason, we know how actively awful that would be since she's infected with the virus. So we obviously don't want that to happen. But it does solve the where is Maria question. If we can get the antiviral, we know where she is. Like, that's known to characters outside of her for now. With that grisly warning, he hung up. Kano's hand went limp. His phone slipped from his grasp and fell to the floor. Do you know what we need right about now with all this seriousness? We need Mr. Bossman. Kano went to South Hill in Nanpaidai alone. The building takes its name from a rough translation of Nanpaidai, the name of the area where it's located. The official name is South Hill Building, but since this is awkward to say, it's frequently shortened. There's the virus. The person who needs to transplant. This is why I said, don't worry, it's fine. We'll just keep going. Maria's got the virus, but she doesn't know she does. Other people know she does. He hadn't brought Hitomi as Teteno had demanded. Oh, this is going to be a bad end. Nor had he reported the situation to Kuze. This is going to be a bad end. First, he wanted to meet with Teteno and find out what was going on. He took the elevator to the 8th floor. After that, he had to take the stairs to the rooftop. Ant-Man's last stand happening soon? Yeah, I guess so. As he made his way up the steps, he tried to imagine what Teteno might want with Hitomi. He hadn't noticed anything suspicious about the senior detective in the lead-up to the stakeout at the Scramble. Yeah. Teteno had seemed like the same man Kano had always revered. So why was he doing this? Kano couldn't think of a reason. Yeah, neither. Well, I can think of some reasons, but we don't know. Reaching the top of the staircase, he at last stepped out onto the open roof. Money... But I feel like, unless he was corrupt to begin with, maybe not? It's fine. Like, you're coming in way late to a really complicated storyline game. It sucks, but like that's just how it is. The time for half-baked conjecture was past. Kano would lay his doubts at Teteno's feet. Then, soon enough, everything would become clear. Inwardly, Kano did his best to convince himself of that. A warm breeze blew against his cheek. He took a look around, but saw no sign of Teteno. Detective Teteno, where are you? Getting no response, he began to walk around the rooftop, calling out several more times. Oh man, I hope Tama kicked his butt and made an escape. Yeah. It's Kano! I've come as you asked. Where's Hitomi Osawa? Kano whirled around when he heard the voice behind him. Oh no. Yeah, that's not super great at all. Teteno stepped into view from behind a water tank. He led with him a young woman, bound and blindfolded. Why didn't you bring her? He growled. This is going to be a bad end, right? Kano stared in shock. Detective Teteno, why are you doing this? Is that really Maria? Okay. Oh, from a ways back when. I want to see how this plays out. We definitely got to do Tama's story next, but I want to continue on the line we're on before we jump off it. But now we know how to do it. And that does lead us back to her keep out. So yeah, that's a bit of a jump. So we don't know what's happening in that 30-minute gap yet. It is kind of evil mastermind music, right? Teteno responded by removing the young woman's blindfold. There was no doubt about it. She looked very much like Hitomi Osawa. A surge of frustration rushed through Kano. Detective Teteno, what is the meaning of this? Kano fought to remain calm. He felt like he was on the verge of falling to pieces. Oh, this game is full of bad ends, but like, you can go and you can change the time, the decisions you make affect other characters, so it works out. Bring me Hitomi Osawa, and I'll let this girl go. Why? What do you need Hitomi for? But Tateno's only answer was an icy stare. This isn't like you. It's so weird. The detective Tateno who I know, who you know? Tateno cut him off. What do you know about me? I know what sort of detective you are, sir, because I've modeled myself after you for my whole career. The older man's expression remained stony. Don't you remember, Kano went on? That time when you risked your life to take down that man who'd barricaded himself inside that office. The only one thing we know you did. That's it. That's the only thing we know you did. Ever since then, you've been my... Tateno interrupted him with a sudden burst of laughter. You really are gullible, you know that? You can only see things the way you want to see them. What do you mean by that? The truth is, I didn't even care if I died doing what I did. That's why I doused myself in gasoline. Tateno's voice had gone low and quiet. That was no display of heroics. It was more attempted suicide than anything else. I wasn't thinking about the other people still inside the building. It's just a coincidence things turned out the way they did. So then, if you'd made a single misstep, then everyone in that building might well have burned to death. You're lying! That can't be true! No! You can't be my father! It isn't true! Kano shook his head insistently. I don't have time for this conversation. Tateno pressed the barrel of his gun to Maria's head. If you don't bring Hitomi Osawa to me, believe me, I'll blow her brains out. Please stop this, Kano shouted. Yeah, but there was no hesitation in Tateno's eyes. He looked like he really would shoot Maria if Kano didn't do as he asked. Hurry up, bring Hitomi to me. Can't you at least tell me what's going on? Go now, or so help me, I'll shoot. Kano drew his own gun from his jacket. I know you, Detective Tateno. I know there's some meaning behind all this. Kano's words came out as an imploring croak. You think you can shoot me? Tateno spat. Letting all Karawan go free? Taking Maria hostage? This has to mean something. Sweat made Kano's hands slick where he clutched his gun. I asked if you think you can shoot me. I've always looked up to you. You were the sort of detective I wanted to become. Kano's view of Tateno began to blur as tears welled in his eyes. Can you shoot me, Kano? I can. Even as he cried, Kano stood resolutely, doing his best to stare down the older man. He set his finger squarely on the trigger and pointed his gun at Tateno's forehead. Suddenly, the piercing stare vanished from the other detective's eyes. Gotta give you full marks for that, Kano. Tateno smiled thinly. I'll tell you then. I'll tell you why I'm doing this. It's gonna be to be continued. I know it's gonna be, and I'm gonna be so mad. Oh, more I'm wrong. It all happened 17 years ago. Oh man. Tragic backstory for it. Okay. A meth addict had assaulted someone in Shibuya. Tateno was questioning people around Danganronpa in search of the perp. He happened to pass by Endo Electronics. Oh hey, Tateno. Oh, because he and Aki's dad both used to have a massive crush on the girl, and it's to save the daughter, and or maybe he's the reason for some heart defect or something. But like, I forgot they both had a thing, and Aki's dad ended up married to her. It was Kotone Endo, clad in pristine white. Clutched to her breast was her daughter, Suzune, only a few months old. It's been a long time, Kotone said. She flashed a tiny smile. Yes, it has, Tateno replied with a clumsy smile of his own. Are you on the job? Yes, I am. Kotone recoiled slightly at the dour look on Tateno's face. Is something the matter? There's an armed criminal hiding out somewhere in the area. What? I wouldn't leave the shop for a while if you can avoid it. But I have to go to the bank to deposit some money. Surely you can have Daisuke go do it. He's away on a repair job and hasn't come back yet. Tateno let out a one-note sigh. I see Daisuke still does things his own way. His job? His literal job? Okay. Alright, let me escort you to the bank. You mean it? Oh, man. We already know she's not alive now, right? Like, I'm pretty sure, at least we haven't heard from her. I'm pretty sure, like, she's gonna die here, right? You mean it? I'd feel a lot safer having you with me. Kotone flashed him a smile so wide that Teteno thought he might lose himself in it. Flashback picture, Teteno, Kotone, and Daisuke. Daisuke? Yeah, were childhood friends and had gone to school together up through high school. Teteno and Daisuke were always clowning around together, and Kotone was always there alongside, laughing. It had been quite some time since he'd gotten to walk along Danganronpa with Kitone. How have you been lately? Well, with a newborn to look after, it's been pretty hectic. There's never a dull moment. Things have been good. Glad to hear it. Kotone was always as bright as a sunflower. Sometimes, Teteno managed to convince himself that just the sight of her was enough. Yeah, definitely did. Outside the bank, Kitone held Suzune out to him. Teteno received the baby with an anxious frown. What's with the face? I'm not good with babies. I haven't held one very often. Oh, you'll be fine, don't worry. Just hold on to her for a moment while I take care of things inside. Alright. He held the baby gingerly, like it was a bomb that might explode at any moment. I mean, babies? As long as by bomb you mean vomit or poop, yes, they are a bomb that could explode at any moment. Kotone chuckled softly. Well, he was already out there looking for an armed gunman. Suzune stirred and squirmed into Teteno's arms. She kind of has Kotone's eyes, he thought. It was strange, the sensation of holding a child. She was so soft and light, and yet such a real and responsive presence. The faint warmth of her body warmed Teteno inwardly in turn. When Kotone returned after making her deposit, safely, they strolled to a nearby park, Suzune back in her mother's arms. Do you have any plans for marriage, Teteno? Haven't thought about it. Work has me plenty busy. Oh, that's just an excuse, Kotone said. If there really were some woman you wanted to marry, you wouldn't let work stop you. Then I suppose it's because there hasn't been anyone I felt that way about. Really? Nobody this whole time? Awkward turtle. Yeah, really. I see. But still, seeing the two of you like this, it makes me realize how nice having family could be. Teteno peered deeply into Suzane's face. Well, if it ain't Teteno. He looked up to see a cheery voice cut into the conversation. It was Daisuke. What are you doing here? He asked his wife. I could ask you the same question. Come on, give me a break. Come to make the deposit for the client. In that case, no need to worry. I just took care of it myself. I thought you'd forgotten about it. Huh? Really? Kotone smiled as Daisuke reached down and carefully lifted Suzune into his arms. Beaming happily at his daughter, he nuzzled up against her tiny cheek. Daisuke, long time no see. Yeah, glad you're doing well for yourself, Teteno. They walked side by side, Daisuke proudly showing off Suzune's drowsing face. What do you think? Adorable, isn't she? Yeah, luckily she doesn't have your looks. Ha! Hey now, bad-mouthing me the same as ever, huh? Some things hadn't changed since high school. Why not drop by our place for a bit? Daisuke offered. Ah, sorry, I'm in the middle of a job, actually. You'd never know. Teteno turned to glance at Kotone. Yup! An instant later, Daisuke screamed, Kotone! A man had come up behind his wife and now held a kitchen knife to her throat. Yup. Kotone stood stiffly, frozen in terror. He has the smallest hand I've ever seen. Maybe it's just a camera trick, or the way the cloth is or something. Well, that hand is like... He's 3 kids in a trench coat. That's what it is. Guaranteed. Let her go. Teteno took a step towards the man. The slightly upturned eyes, the close-cropped hair, the thin mustache. All the details matched the description. This had to be the man Teteno was after. Shut your damn mouth! You want to try and kill me, huh? This lady here wants to try and kill me! Wow. What you can accomplish with just text. The man was babbling nonsense. The reports had said the suspect was a tweaker. Right now, his mind was probably a complete mess from the meth withdrawal. Left unchecked, there was no telling what he might do. Tateno shoved Daisuke behind him and drew his gun from his jacket. Wait, don't shoot! You'll hit Katone! But Tateno ignored Daisuke's shouts and trained his gun on the perp's shoulder. He was confident in his marksmanship.
Oh no!
Yeah, definitely oh no. It doesn't explain tweaker. Yeah, I guess context? I don't know. He'd never miss at this range. Tateno, please, back down! Daisuke pleaded. Suzune still clutched in his arms. I beg you! I can't, Tateno hissed under his breath. This isn't someone we can reason with. The assailant began waving his knife about. He could stab it into Katone at any moment. Tateno had to take the shot now. He aimed for the shoulder of the arm the man held his knife in. Oh, Daisuke's gonna like shove him or something. Tateno, stop! Yeah, Daisuke shouted. Don't do this! For a brief moment, Tateno's eyes met Katone's. He thought he saw her give a tiny nod. Don't shoot! Oh. The rare actual video. Oh no! Well, his aim was good, but... Yeah, no time a video plays in this game. It's never good. Any time a video plays, it's bad. It was all over in an instant. By the time Tateno had the perp subdued, Katone's white shirt was soaked through with red. With Katone's death, so too died Tateno's heart. Whatever feelings had lived inside him had been reduced to cinders, leaving only a never-ending need to atone. I don't know if they explain it or not, but yeah, it was either a good catch or a second weapon. Countless times he thought of ending his life in order to make things up to Daisuke and his children. The only reason he didn't go through with it was that he knew death would be the easy way out, and so he stayed on as a detective. He would carry the weight of his sins with him for as long as he lived. This was the sentence Tateno gave himself. So I guess this is just his way of making it up to them? Yeah, young Aki. 15 years had passed since Katone's death. The first time, Tateno had gone to visit her grave. He was standing by the grave marker with his hands clasped when someone called out to him from behind. Excuse me? A slender young girl stood there, flowers in hand. Tateno instantly recognized her, Suzune. Not in a hospital, shockingly. She looked just like Katone had back in her high school days. Did you know my mother? She asked. Ah, yes. We were classmates a long time ago. Oh, really? Thank you so much for coming. Suzune gave a slight bow, then gazed up at Tateno with her big bright eyes. You look just like her. Tateno struggled to hold back the tears. He felt as if Katone stood before him, returned to life. My father tells me the same thing all the time. I'm sure once you're all grown up, you'll be just as beautiful as she was. A forlorn smile came to Suzune's face. Once I'm grown up? Well, I don't think that's gonna happen. Guess I really do have a lot in common with my mother, including the part where I'm going to die young. Don't be ridiculous, Tateno explained. Why would you say such a horrible thing? Suzune took a step backward, looking shocked to be rebuked by a stranger. My apologies, he said hurriedly. I didn't mean to startle you. No, it's all right, Suzune murmured, clutching the flowers close. Honestly, it's not something I like to talk about myself. But I'm sick, so there's not really anything I can do to change it. Sick? Yeah, no, she's been in a hospital bed the whole game. The only time we've seen her was in a hospital bed once. This is the first time we've seen her outside of that room. I have a heart condition, a genetic expression for illness pertaining to the heart. or generic, also referred to as heart disease, includes things like heart failure, valvular heart disease, and so forth. A transplant is the only thing that can help me, but my blood type is a little bit weird, and it doesn't look like they'll be able to find me a compatible donor. The immune system exists to get rid of foreign substances in the body. Often, a patient's immune system will attack a transplanted organ, which can result in the organ failing or functioning poorly. To mitigate the risk of rejection, it is preferable for the donor and the recipient to have matching body tissue. In the case of a heart transplant, characteristics such as blood type and pre-sensitized antibodies, human leukocyte antigens, must be screened ahead of time. So there's an entire possibility that they share a blood type but don't share the other things, and the heart could still end up being useless. Cool. Then, bowing her head, Susanne stepped in front of the gravestone and clasped her hands in silence. Chitano felt a retching pain inside him, as if Katone was being taken from him all over again. If there really was a god, why would he do such dreadful things? Is there nothing I can do? He nearly lamented aloud. I'll do anything. Susanne, I'll do whatever I have to in order to save you. Chitano clenched his fist as he stared at the grave. Tell me, Katone, what can I possibly do for your daughter? Please tell me. I wonder if... I wonder if Aki's dad is actually involved in this. Like, maybe he's just doing this on his own. I'd like to think Aki's dad wouldn't be like, yeah, you should murder someone so my daughter can live. I'd like to think what little we've seen of him, which is minimal. I can clearly see now why he might be like, I'm gonna take the initiative and murder some fool. Clearly. I'd like to think his dad wouldn't, but we don't really know for sure. Please. Guess we'll find out. And so the months rolled on. Everything changed just after 10 o'clock that morning. Chitano was on the stakeout when his cell phone rang. Okay, so literally whatever happened today. Save lives. Yeah, true. He glanced at the call display and saw saw Daisuke Endo's name. He hadn't heard from Daisuke in years now. Fearing that something had happened to Susanne, Chitano answered the call, despite his current tense circumstances. At once he heard Daisuke wailing. Susanne had a seizure. She might not come back from this one. Chitano's terrible suspicions had been right on the mark. He felt himself growing weak. Please, Daisuke exclaimed, you need to shoot that girl you're with, that Hitomi Osawa. Okay, I take it back. He'd absolutely do that. I forgot that the doctor had also said, like, he was, like, you know, expect a transplant. I forgot about that, yeah. Now I'm remembering the end of last stream where the doctor was like, heard from his dad. Okay, yeah. You need to shoot her in the head. If we have her heart, we can save Susanne. At first, Chitano couldn't make sense of what Daisuke was saying. Hurry up and shoot! Shoot her, please! Hitomi Osawa has the Bombay blood type. Wait, hold on, Chitano said, keeping his voice low. You want me to kill Hitomi Osawa? Why? He quickly scanned the area. Daisuke, are you nearby? Wait, where are you? Don't worry about that. If you can just render her brain dead, we'll be able to transplant her heart into Susanne. Yeah, that's the question now, is how he learned about the blood type, but yeah. The term brain dead refers to a state where the entire brain, including the brainstem, is beyond any recovery. In Japan, brain death is defined by Article 6 of the Act on Organ Transplant, which states that brain death can only be declared when the goal of authorizing a transplant and is subject to the judgment of at least 2 doctors, inspecting the patients according to preset process at least 6 hours apart. Shooting someone in the head doesn't necessarily guarantee they'd wind up brain dead. And even assuming it did, if Toteno shot the Osawa girl here in the middle of the scramble, it would cause a giant incident. Oh, of course it didn't do the whole link, but it's okay. By the time the autopsy was completed, the window for a heart transplant would surely have passed. Toteno, shoot her, please! Daisuke, I can't. You know I can't do that. Hurry! It was like his old friend wasn't even listening to him. Look, even if she did wind up brain dead, they wouldn't be able to perform a transplant. But Daisuke kept on shouting, "It's fine, it'll be fine, I'll make the transplant work somehow." You'll make it work? Even knowing how ridiculous that was, part of Toteno wanted to know what he had in mind, if anything. I finally found it. I found something we can do for Suzune. Please help me help her. Toteno understood Daisuke's feelings painfully well. To be hopeless, to stop the suffering of someone you loved, nothing in the world hurt as much as that. I want to save Suzune. Yeah, quite desperate. Toteno, this is the one thing I will ever ask of you. To shoot somebody, to take a life. Toteno could hear choked weeping from the other end of the line. And at that sound, something inside him shifted. Yes, Daisuke was right. The likelihood of a transplant happening wasn't the issue. What mattered was that right now he could take action. He could do something for Suzune. He mustered up his resolve, feeling the doubt lift from his heart. Or Suzune. Or the daughter of the woman he'd loved. Toteno checked the gun tucked inside his jacket, then slowly began making his way through the crowd towards Hitomi. And then the day plays out as we know it does. Yeah, from that point forward, we the player know what happened. Now you know why we're here. Toteno gestured subtly with his gun, its barrel still pressed against Maria's temple. Kano's own gun wavered in his hands. He was crying inside. Also, we need Hitomi's blood, but like a little bit of it, just to get the antibodies. We don't need death. We need just the blood sample. There's nothing else he wanted to hear from Toteno now. And now he was sure of one thing. Words were never going to stop this man. Kano, Toteno said, at my age, I've seen all sorts of young detectives come and go. He fixed his lonesome gaze on Kano. And you're about the worst of the lot. Whenever it's time to take action, you immediately do something reckless. Do you know how many formal apologies I've had to write because of you? Toteno let out a heavy sigh. But you know, Kano, because of the way you've looked up to me, you've saved me. And that's the truth. He sounded like a man speaking his last words. Now come on, see if you can stop me. He pressed the gun harder against Maria's temple. Death here set the virus. I don't know about that. We know it has to take a certain amount of time to become active and then it's going to hit everywhere. I don't really know about that one though. No, she's been infected with a virus that has a high contamination rate and a 100% fatal, like once you're infected you die. But it takes, I think they said 6 to 8 hours. They've given us the time. I always forget the number. It takes a certain amount of time for you to start showing symptoms, and until you show symptoms, you can't transmit it. But as soon as you start showing symptoms, you can transmit it. 12 hours. Okay. So how did I forget 12 hours? It's an easy number. She's got 4 hours left. So once she starts showing symptoms, she can transmit it, even though she doesn't know she has it, and things will be very bad for Shibuya. Very bad. Kano took aim at his former hero's head. Man, I can't take any screenshots from tonight because it's all going to be spoilers. Or I can't share them on Twitter right now. There's Detective Toteno. Like, cause that's just a... his finger wavered on the trigger. Shoot him. You have to shoot him. If you don't shoot him, Maria is going to die. He tried desperately to convince himself. I am going to stop you. Toteno looked him coldly in the eye. Do it then. Shoot me. Kano stared right back. He tightened his finger on the trigger. Rah! got... Of course, that would be where the to be continued would be. Okay. Oh yeah, the symptoms are, yeah, you bleed from everything. All your organs, all your body, you just bleed until you die. Classic 428, yep. Now we get that. Alright, so now we're gonna go to Maria, obviously. We've got that jump point. So now we gotta figure things out. You know she's gonna have the same cliffhanger. Like, obviously, she has to have the same cliffhanger. I hope we get a whole bunch of conversation. Oh, he does take the blindfold off. I was about to say, I hope we get a whole bunch of conversation from her point of view. Just a black screen. Oh yeah, no, there was definitely a jump in here we needed. That's why we're going back to it. We opted not to take it last time because I wanted to see the current path through. But we were ready for it. But I wanted to finish Kano. I hear a faint voice and realize that the man is listening to a wireless radio. I've managed to secure Hitomi Osawa at Shibuya Central Hospital, the voice says. A gleam comes to the gunman's eyes. He pulls his cell phone from his jacket and hurriedly makes a call. Oh, okay, I guess it does work out. Oh, you mean Maria's? Maybe, yeah, quite possibly. I've secured Maria Osawa, he says to whoever's on the other end. Yep, so we're hearing this side of the conversation. Huh? Maria Osawa? Is my name Maria Osawa? Oh yeah, she's got amnesia. You need to bring Hitomi Osawa to my location at once. Hitomi Osawa? If I'm Maria Osawa, what sort of relationship do I have to Hitomi? If you don't bring her, I'll kill Maria. Then my captor hangs up. Were you serious just now? My voice wavers uncontrollably. What do you mean you'll kill me? Don't look at me like that. He steps in closer to me, his expression dangerous. That killer's edge that he'd lost during our little talk is back in full force. Just bear with me a little longer. He blindfolds my eyes with some sort of towel. Can't see through it at all. Just then, I hear Kanan's voice inside my head. My memories are like shards of broken glass, tumbling through my mind. All out of sequence. Oh, Canada, yeah. Sorry. My bad. Yes, Canada's voice. How are you able to do that when the string is so tangled up? Oh, once you know the trick to it, you can do it with your eyes closed. I'm showing Canada how to do a cat's cradle. She reaches out for the string. Huh? She doesn't get hold of it quite right. What gives? Despite her efforts, the string gets all jumbled up. No, not like that, I say. Look at your index fingers through the front part of the string. Man, this used to be a thing people would totally do at school, like elementary school. I haven't thought about a cat's cradle in forever. It's literally, there's a certain way you can wrap string around your fingers that makes an intricate pattern between them, and another person can grab it a certain way that puts it into a different pattern, and you can rotate through 3 or 4 different ways if you know how to grab it and how to manipulate it. So you can kind of pass the string back and forth between 2 or 3 people, and it looks different. It's just a simple string thing to do. It's a way to entertain yourself in school when there were no phones, you weren't really allowed any games or anything. It was simple, but it was fun. I felt old just saying all of those words. No, I get that. Canada's getting irritated. But after giving it a few more tries, she finally manages to pull it off. There we go, she says. Look at that. Seeing her innocent little smile bolsters my own spirits. That's neat. Thanks for teaching me. No, it's nothing special. Here, as a thanks, let me teach you some skills to help protect yourself. I taught you how to manipulate some string. You're going to teach me how to kill people. Abruptly, my memory jumps forward a bit. Canada has been training me in some form of self-defense. Techniques for protecting oneself when attacked. Rather than defending or defeating the opponents, self-defense training generally prioritizes simply getting oneself away from danger. Some people consider behavioral tenets such as run away when you're attacked or don't go near dangerous places to be forms of self-defense as well. Don't overthink it, she says. People will either try to punch you, kick you, or grab you. Yeah, she's OP strong in this game. So is Canada. If you can, though we do have a Kiryu in this game who's clearly not good. If you can stay ready for those three things, you'll be able to take it from there. She demonstrated some defensive movements as I watch. I follow suit, doing my best to mimic her. Yeah, this Kiryu sucks. He killed us in a bad end. He killed us, he killed Minorikawa, he killed Aki. He's only been on screen like 3 times, and he sucks. Okay, let's do this. Canada throws a punch at me. I dodge, grab her by the wrist, and give her arm a heart twist. Incredibly, she goes whirling through the air. And lands on her feet, of course. She lands nimbly on her feet, a little grin coming to her face. Nicely done, she says. I stare down at my own hands. Did I really just do that? Once you repeat the movements enough, your body will treat them like second nature. I do as she says, trying to repeat the movements over and over. At first it feels like a silly gimmick, but eventually I can feel the motions growing smoother. There you go. People like those thugs we met before won't get the drop on you again. 1 day of training. Presumably she continues to train her off time. Thugs? Now my memories zip further back into the past. Yeah, we know she was running away from some thugs when Canada found her. I was wandering the streets, trying to get back to my hotel, but I'd gotten lost. By the time I realized I wandered into some dodgy back streets, I was already surrounded by people giving me threatening looks. I need to become a monk, yeah, of course. They must have been thugs looking for tourists to rob. Oh yeah, if she's this... Oh, she's Yeah, it doesn't make sense that... Yeah, she definitely could take them. If they had caught me, I'm not sure I would have made it out alive. But they hadn't. Canada had seen to that. This is how you get grease lightning stacks. Oh man. Thank you so much for what you did for me. I didn't want there to be a scene here, Canada says bluntly as she surveys the aftermath of the thug's attack. That's all. I'd happened to be right underneath her apartment window when I was nearly abducted. She jumped out her window and beat the hell out of these guys? Bit by bit, my memories of Canada are starting to resurface. Just a little more. Just a little more, and I'll have a full stack of grease lightning. I'll have myself back. I'm sure of it. Detective Tateno, where are you? Okay, so that's what happened in the meantime. A man's voice suddenly snaps me back into the moment. It's Kano. I've come as you asked. The gunman grabs me by the arm and yanks me to my feet. Where's Hitomi Osawa? He snarls. Why didn't you bring her? Detective Tateno, why are you doing this? Is that really Maria? The captor removes my blindfold. The first thing I see is a huge blimp drifting slowly by overhead. Huh? Sure, I've seen it before. And pretty recently at that. Suspicious blimp? There's a flash of revelation inside my head, like a dam bursting. My memories come flooding back to me. So that was up there last night when she got kidnapped? Last night? I was at a party, sort of mix it with the exchange students. Someone was plotting to use this party as an opportunity to abduct my sister, Hitomi. And so I told Hitomi that the party started 1 hour later than it really did. I had a plan to let myself get abducted in Hitomi's place. I was behind it all. If she turns out to be the mastermind, I'm done. Of course, the idea wasn't just to let myself get kidnapped. The necklace I wore was outfitted with a tiny GPS. Okay, I assumed as much. That one I kind of figured. Wherever I happened to be taken, Canada would be able to track my location. Bossman are both alpha red. What we hadn't counted on, though, was my necklace getting torn off when I was attacked. I'd managed to grab hold of it, but I hit my head when I was being shoved into the car, and it slipped from my grasp. I'm not sure how far we drove after that. In my fuzzy memories, I recall gazing blearily out of the car window. That was when I saw the blimp, right after we parked. Yes, it went fine. There was a man talking to someone on the cell phone. Alright, I'll shut her up inside the storeroom. I'll be waiting in the room upstairs. The man dragged me out of the car and shoved me into some dark storeroom. Ugh. Then, I guess for good measure, he hit me on the head again. That's right. There's more of it coming back to me now. Ever gets hit in the head so hard you get transported to a desert where a cloaked wanderer is standing there? You spent your life living in a country at peace, in Japan. You couldn't possibly understand me. Canada again. So it's not like she and I became fast friends right away or anything. The two of us were too different in a lot of ways. Where do you draw the lines? What would you protect with your life? What does justice mean to you? A forlorn look came to her face whenever Canada asked me a new question, and I never had a good answer for any of them. My flimsy grasp on my own personal identity made it hard for us to get along, yet I kept visiting Canada's place for the duration of my trip. I recall doing the cat's cradle there at the table one time when we didn't have anything in particular to talk about. I didn't know there were deserts in Canada. Well, Canada's the person, clearly. Her eyes had gone wide when she saw me deftly manipulating the string with my fingers. Who taught you how to do that? She asked. My mother. My real mother, that is. Canada furrowed her brow. What do you mean, real? As opposed to my stepmother, I mean. My birth mother died after getting really sick. I was only 5 years old, so I don't remember her that well. I see, Canada said. Her expression remained unchanged. What about your parents, Canada? I don't have any. They died during the war. The bluntness of her response made my hand stop, the string still stretched between them. Sensing that we were treading on some serious ground, I hurried to change the subject. Do you have any friends? No. Well, I used to have one. Her use of the past tense made me fear the worst, and I was right. He was killed too, by an arms dealer named Alpharad. Her tone was dry, matter of fact. Taking revenge for his death is my sole purpose in life. I hope not, Robin. I don't know if we know. Despite the gravity of her words, her face was an unreadable mask. She seemed almost incapable of human emotion. So, what sort of person is this Alpharad? A destructionist who masquerades as a terrorist. Destructionist? That sure wasn't a term that came up a lot back in Japan. Alpharad doesn't believe in God and holds no political ideology. The chaos and destruction is just to earn money in order to carry out more terrorist acts. So you're saying this Alpharad commits terrorism because it's fun? Canada nodded. That's why every now and then Alpharad changes loyalties. Just when you think you found ties to some Middle Eastern terrorist organization, turns out the job was for the American CIA. The heck? So Alpharad stands for nothing then? Canada smiled dismissively at my little childish outburst. I couldn't help but feel a bit paranoid, or patronized. Online double smash video, I believe it. I didn't watch that one. I twiddled my fingers, turning my cat's cradle into a bridge. Canada's eyes fixed right back on the string. A tiny surge of pride replaced my annoyance. She went quiet, watching closely as I worked my fingers. The tension in the room faded as the silence between us lengthened. My stepmother is the sort of person who couldn't do this sort of thing. Hey, yeah, no, I can't imagine, I said at last. For some reason, I had a sudden urge to talk about my personal life. I guess she cares about herself more than looking after her children. Yeah. She's not a bad person, though. She gives me weird bits of advice, like telling me to find someone to date, or that a woman's life is defined by a man. But it's not like I hate her or anything. Do you mind teaching me? Canada asked softly. How to date and how to find a man? What? How to find... Oh, yeah. What? How to find a guy to date? No. She shook her head. Then she pointed to the cat's cradle strung between my fingers. Oh, you mean this? Been wonky. Yeah, it's weird. I'm not dropping any frames, but it's always like, you never know. Oh, damn, yeah. So I took her by the hand and started to teach her the cat's cradle. Hey, do you mind if I ask you something? I said after a while. Why don't they show her face in the flashbacks? We've seen her face in present day. Why don't they show her face in flashbacks? Like, at all. At all. A little bit suspicious. Because we've seen her, we've talked to her present day, but... have we? We keep seeing her tattoo in the flashbacks, which she has present day. Hey, do you mind if I ask you something? I said after a while. What's that? Excuse me. It could be someone else who has the same tattoo, yeah. True, ramen. True. Oh, not ramen, potion. Sorry. That's true. That's true. What's that? The friend you mentioned earlier. What was he like? Canada's fingers went still. It's better if you don't ask. If I tell you, you won't want to come here anymore. That's not true, I insisted. Even though I'm a terrorist, she replied curtly, one who uses fear and violence to attain political objectives. The term has its origins in the Reign of Terror in 18th century France, known in French as La Terreur. I swallowed a sudden lump in my throat, unable to find words. We fight for righteousness, but you people call us terrorists. In the religious sense, the state of being virtuous, free of sin, and observant of the proper rules of moral conduct. Not the same as being in the right, though many people equate the two. Am I wrong? She cast a quick look at my face. But I mean, you protected me. My voice wavered as I replied. All I did was take down some thugs. I just didn't want them around. What could I say to that? I just stammered. Nah, I'm just messing with you. Huh? Canada flashed me another slight condescending grin. I was just joking, don't worry about it. But I didn't get the sense that everything she said was a joke. Even if calling herself a terrorist was an exaggeration, the world Canada lived in was unquestionably a dangerous one. No, that's not something we knew about. I could tell that from the cold look in her eyes, a look you'd never expect from an ordinary teenage girl. Just what sort of hardships had she endured to acquire that deadly stare? Having lived all my life in peaceful Japan, I could scarcely imagine. Canada tried and failed several times to get the cat's cradle right, but she didn't give up. She worked fastidiously by herself, fingers continuing to shift awkwardly about. Okay, here we go. She hooked the string around her fingers and spread her palms. But the string shape just collapsed into a jumbled mess. Maybe? Yeah. Confound it. Okay, one more time. You can make this into a game with two people, you know. I plucked the string from Canada's hands. We passed the string back and forth. Why don't we try that? It's more fun than doing it by yourself. I wrapped the string around my fingertips. What do you say? Want to give it a go? Canada looks dubious. The intricately intertwined strings were like the world in a way. What had started as a single thread was now something that couldn't be undone just by pulling on it. I held my hands out, twirling the string around my fingers. Canada took the pattern from me and spread her palms apart. She made a perfect bridge between her hands. The shy grin that came to her face made her finally look like a normal girl. I followed suit with a childish little laugh of my own. It is a very gold shirt, yes. And as if in a blaze of sunshine, the fog that's been hanging over my mind finishes receding. I remember everything. My name is Maria Osawa. My sister is Hitomi Osawa. The catalyst for this was a blimp. And Canada. She's a dear friend who I met in a far-off land. She helped me once, and now it's my turn to help her. I close my eyes as I reflect upon these precious memories, all the dearer for having been lost. Oh no, 0% chance. Now, when I try to picture Canada, I can do so clearly. It's just as I thought before. My memories are what make me who I am, and I would never choose to forget them. I feel almost as if time had stopped for me while my history was gone, and now it started moving again. I'm finally back to being me. Oh no, nothing good happens when we can see movement. Oh no. And I have to go. I have to go back there one more time. The bot, the bot is a SkyNet sympathizer. Uh-oh. Oh, she gets shot. Oh no. Oh no. You can't do that. No. No, no. Oh, no. She's not even selectable anymore. Oh wait, no, never mind. I was looking at the names on the top. I'm blind. Because we know there's at least one more hour just because there's a trophy for it. Oh, man. Oh, no. Man. He gets a 2 Aki gets a to be continued super early. Her story is done. Kano's to be continued, so we only have these two. We have a choice here, but we also have this one, which we can apparently continue with now? There was something stopping it before, I don't know what. Oh, man. You can't end it there. I guess. It did say "and," but like... So he hit a bad end last time because he heard his daughter died in the bomb, but we changed that so she didn't die in the bomb. So he should have a different outcome here, right? Because that was where it had stopped last time. We just haven't made it back to him because there's been other stuff going on. So we read this bit before. He should snap out of this. I think. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, I can join the boss. Tanaka did, trying to use backup passwords for the... Oh, that's what happened, yeah! He did know Tanaka died. I still don't remember what his... like, he hit a dead end, but... It had become a hopeless endeavor. The only remaining means of gaining entry to the storage area was to issue an emergency unlock request to the electronic lock manufacturer. And in order to do that, they needed approval from 6 members of the board of directors. Returning to his study, Osawa called Makino's personal cell phone. "What is it?" Makino said gruffly as soon as he picked up. Osawa informed him of the situation, including Tanaka's death, and the fact that Maria was infected. The news left Makino at a loss for words. "Please," Osawa begged, "you need to hold an emergency board meeting." Makino was silent for a few moments. "I'm afraid I can't do that." "Why not? Are you just going to sit by and let my daughter die?" Osawa raged, as well as a ton of, excuse me. Yeah, and not just her. If Maria goes symptomatic... Japan is boned. That was still only an if, but Osawa was reluctant to put his fears into words. "If she goes symptomatic, the Ua virus will sweep through all of Tokyo." "I realize that," Makino replied. "But one of the board members is overseas on business. Holding a meeting is impossible." Despite the gravity of the situation, he sounded astonishingly nonchalant. Oh, maybe he's in on it. I don't know. Osawa couldn't back down now. There must be some other option, like a web conference or something. That doesn't help us if we can't get in touch with him. I mean, you didn't try. He went missing a few days ago in the middle of his business trip. The head of Okoshi Pharmaceuticals' New York branch has been missing since April 25th, 9 p.m. local time. There have been no demands for a ransom, and so the New York Police Department is investigating the possibility of some other form of foul play. Yep, Osawa was almost too appalled to be angry. That's the most ridiculous lie I've ever heard. Would you like to speak to my on-site contact, if you don't believe me? This was like arguing with a child. If Makino was deliberately working against him, he'd never know if this disappearance was real or not. In that case, can you please appoint a representative in his stead? Osawa pleaded. Selecting a representative is a complicated process. Oh man, we've only encountered this guy once before. He sucks. I hate him. Like, I dislike Suicide Dad because of his ineptness, but this guy's actively, like, bad. Like, he's actively bad. Even if we started right now, it would take until sometime tomorrow afternoon to complete. Tomorrow afternoon. By then it would be too late for any of this to matter. Oh, for sure, he's the corporate monster, yeah. Sir, can't you see how absurd the things you're saying are? What would you have me do? Makino barked. These are the realities of corporate politics. Sometimes all of Tokyo's just gotta die. It's bureaucracy, honestly. We couldn't possibly save all of Tokyo. I understand, sir. You will do nothing for my daughter. That's what you're saying. That's exactly what you're saying. You will not only do nothing for his daughter, you will let Tokyo and much of Japan just die. That's not what I'm saying, Mikano replied. Look, I'll see what I can do to appoint a representative more quickly. He hung up. Wow, okay. His tone had suggested that waiting for an appointee wouldn't be a terribly hopeful prospect. I have no more allies, Osawa thought. Wrong. You have Donkey Kong. You will always have Donkey Kong and his banana. Think of the shareholders, though. All I have left now are foes. He couldn't count on anyone anymore. Osawa was just going to have to get the antiviral by himself. So he just had to take Mikano at his word. Right now that was... No. A, right? We gotta go A. He's gotta bunker down and be like, fine, I've got no allies, get it done myself. He's kind of been a whiny mess a lot of this game, which, again, I get some of it. His daughters have been kidnapped. Not saying he hasn't been justified, but he can do this. Like, yeah, there's no choice here. B is just a bad end where you spiral into depression and Japan dies. A is giving it a shot. He couldn't count on anyone anymore. Osawa was just going to have to get the antiviral by himself. Tanaka might be dead, but there still must be some way to get that lock open. Taking extra care to avoid the notice of the detectives, Osawa snuck out of the house and headed for the garage. What if Donkey Kong helps us? Right? Okay, we found a keep out. Do we have a way to get to him at this rate? I forgot which jumps we have available. We might have to go Minorikawa, though. Do we have a jump around here? No, I think we just go Minorikawa. Oh, yeah! Because we hit Kano with the car, but then Kano didn't come... We didn't give chase to the other guys, so we were fine now. Which one did we have to hit? We have to hit A, right? We picked the other two and they were bad ends. We have to hit A. Yeah, so we get Kiryu to go leave. To go grab a bat. Or a better weapon. We get into the taxi with Taxi Man, the best driver in the city. And we don't hit Kano, we don't hit Aki this time. And we'll see what happens. Because that's what stopped us last time. What a dumbass. Hey, man, Taxi Guy's the best guy. Kimizuka, the fact that he always is just like, he knows what you need. You're heading to that publishing office again? I can get you there in 10 minutes. Kimizuka's driving was smooth as always. He wove his way skillfully through a series of backstreets, and he didn't hit Aki. One random hunting wind user that joins the hub kicks ass. Yeah. There was some big explosion earlier, he explained. The main roads are all gridlocked. Yeah, Minorukawa muttered. I was there when it happened. Yeah, all of the characters were there. Oh wow, really? I'm glad to see you're not hurt then. Oh, he died like 3 times, but it's fine, we fixed it. Don't worry. Still, what a terrible thing. That minivan. I hear someone was inside when it exploded. I'm not sure if you were aware. Yeah, I'm aware. Oh ho, nothing gets past a reporter like you, I see. Did not have a good time this hour. No, he had an actively bad time this hour. Kimizuka flashed Minorukawa an approving smile through the rearview mirror. How much have you heard then? Rumor has it that the person who died was a middle-aged man. Oh. Oh yeah, because he heard it was Suicide Dad, right? Yeah. King Crimson's JoJo reference. Just time manipulation. Yeah, we taxi drivers tend to hear quite a bit ourselves. Kimizuka chuckled, but Minorukawa just cast his eyes down forlornly. You look tired, sir. Hmm? Yeah, I guess so. His reply was barely audible. Yeah, that's true, but yeah, it works. The taxi stopped outside of Heaven Publishing. You could consider, well, it's definitely not 6 seconds, or however long. Do we ever know a duration for King Crimson? Whatever, it's definitely longer than King Crimson. You could absolutely say we're seeing into the future and changing things how it goes. I also haven't seen ReZero. It's on the list of things I feel like I should probably watch, but I haven't yet. The taxi stopped outside of Heaven Publishing. Minorukawa left a 1,000 yen bill on the seat and exited the cab. That's $10? He was stumbling his way towards the building when someone called out to him. Mr. Minorukawa. Hmm? For a moment, Minorukawa didn't recognize the man, now idling in his sedan on the curb. When he took a closer look, he realized it was Kenji Osawa. I'm going to once again continue my current path, but now we have the jump. Oh, Mr. Osawa. Oh, actually, I'm really... Should we continue the current path, or should we jump to guy trying to break into a high-security office where he works to steal a country-saving antiviral agent? Or should we go depressed, yeah, we should jump this time. He was just getting good, too. Is he really only at 1610? Oh man, they're so early in the hour. Holy crap, they're so early. The chapters go in hour blocks. So if he's only at 1610, he's got 50 minutes left. I thought he was later. As he was driving past Aoyama, Osawa spotted a man he recognized walking along. We can be angry, rude hero later, yeah. Oh man, he pulled up alongside him and called out through the window. Mr. Minorukawa. I like how he's still just like charred from the explosion. Oh, Mr. Osawa. Sorry, but I haven't been able to look into that thing you asked about yet. I see. That's quite alright. The business was I and Tanaka could wait until later. Yeah, he doesn't know Tanaka's... Oh, he does know Tanaka's dead. Never mind. Sorry. It doesn't matter now, then. Minorukawa to the helm? I don't know. We jumped, so we'll find out. Right now, he needed to focus on protecting Shibuya. If he didn't get his hands on that antiviral... You're caught up in something big, aren't you? How do you know that? Because I'm Minoru Minorukawa. Well, the man's egotism had some justification. Maybe he didn't know the details, but he clearly had some inkling about Osawa's situation. Something clicked in Osawa's mind. He was up against the wall. Okoshi Pharmaceutical had told him they were going to just let Maria die. He was past the point where he could resolve this peaceably, but he was not going to give up without a fight. When it came time, Osawa was sure this man could help him. Well, that'll make this simpler, I guess. Get in. I'll tell you everything. Minorukawa thought for a moment, then got into the passenger seat. Yup. Yes, he can be very rude to people, but he is inherently a good guy, and he also inherently is absolutely going to be like, down for the ride. And I'm pretty sure if Osawa had been like, there's a decent chance we die here, he'd be like, let's go. Yes, he is absolutely very rude to people a lot of the time. He's a bit of an asshole to people. But he's a good guy, for sure. That is factual. As he drove to the lab, Osawa filled Minorukawa in on all the details. The reporter listened intently, occasionally interrupting to ask a question. Third Ranger Kajiwara come on? Oh yeah, you haven't seen Minorukawa's storyline? He doesn't do anything. All of his reactions are cranked up to 11. He would definitely not do the like, okay. He would definitely be like, yeah, let's go, we're doing this. Same concept, but for sure he'd have more pep. Yes, when Osawa had finished. I'm not sure. I figured I'd think of something after I got there. Minoru let out a nasal chuckle. Just improvising, huh? Ah, well, I'll back you up. At least I know I found my way into something important. The downside of this is, if they pull this off, you will never be able to lower Minorukawa's ego after this. If he can literally put on his resume, saved Japan, whoo, his ego is already huge. It's gonna be outstanding. They pulled up outside the lab and the two men got out of the car. That was quick. Immediately, a team of security guards burst out through the gate and forced Osawa to the ground. Hey, Minorukawa protested, what the hell is this? The guards had grabbed him as well. Unhand me, Osawa yelled. I'm Kenji Osawa. This is my lab. Mr. Osawa, Minorukawa shouted. What the hell is going on here? But Osawa was just as confused. Oh no, he looked up to see Makino standing before him. Yeah. Sir, tell these thugs to let me go. But Makino just frowned silently down at him. So, not only will you not help me, you're actively getting in my way? Yup. Osawa glared up at his boss. Maria's life, no, countless human lives are at risk. And there's nothing that you alone can do about that. That's what I need you to understand. Makino gave a signal to the guards, who proceeded to drag Osawa away. The scientist writhed with despair at his own impotence. In the end, it doesn't even matter. There's nothing I could do. Is that a bad... We have to choose to not have... Okay, so it has to be something we do as Minorukawa. It has to. Right? Sawa decided to try and get the antiviral directly, and even got some unexpected help from Minorukawa along the way. Unfortunately, upon arriving at the lab, they have run with Makino and his security goons. I'll have to make some other We have to not go? Ah. That's the decision we have to change then. That sounds so like... Alright. Well. Clearly something happens here. Maybe this is how we end up teaming up with Donkey Kong. He thinks he's got no allies, he resigns himself to his fate, and Donkey Kong saves the day. Maybe, right? Right, you see? Sir Jude understands, yeah. Still, he'd just have to take Makino at his word. Bad idea, clearly. Right now, that was his only course of action. Banana and the coconut gun? You joke. I don't know about a coconut gun. He's got his banana, though. Osawa sat down in front of his computer and quietly closed his eyes. If only I could just go to sleep and wake up tomorrow morning and find all this resolved. All I'm asking is for a miracle. But he knew reality would never be so kind. He couldn't hold his eyes shut as long as he wanted, and it wouldn't make this... Or he could hold his eyes shut as long as he wanted, and it wouldn't make this hopeless situation go away. He felt the anxiety welling up inside of him, until it seemed like he was going to explode. Needing a distraction from his helplessness, Osawa opened up IONET. Also, if we run on the assumption that all bad ends are still things that can realistically happen in character and are actually canon, if only wrong, I'm glad that he's got it in him to straight up be like, no, storming the palace solo, doing this. Yes, it clearly the right answer is for him to not, for whatever reason. I do really like that, like, he's got that in him to be like, no, I've got no allies, and that makes me stronger. We're doing this. I've got the resolve. That's good. But that also makes canon the fact that there is a reality hole-ripping time manipulation cat outfit casually available in Shibuya. Which is still the weirdest bad end we've gotten. One of the funniest, but the weirdest. He knew this was mere escapism, but he couldn't just sit and do nothing while waiting for Mikano to call back. That's true, like, you're right, but, like, it's still weird thinking that's canon to this game. Better fate for... true, yeah, way better fate. He posted a new topic with the title, Aya, Fortune Teller. Man, my biggest hope is that Sas pulls through this, like, come on. I tried the Aya Fortune Teller. My results basically said I was a bad person who can't connect to the people around me. And you know what? That's exactly right. Oh, this is him typing, duh. I'm only interested in my own little world. That's probably why my wife and my assistant at work got so fed up with me. It's the same with my 2 daughters. What sort of things are they interested in? Do they have a lot of friends? What are their aspirations for the future? I don't know any of those things. It never even occurred to me to find out. I'm such a terrible father. You know, you gotta remember, this was 2008. So, given his age, do you really think he's been typing a lot? Like, realistically speaking. Like, I understand. That much I get. Osawa's fingers ceased their tapping on the keyboard as he thought back to when Maria and Hitomi were younger. Daddy, Daddy! The 2 girls would follow him around like a pair of puppies. Their father was their everything. That much is clear just by looking at their faces. Oh man, Boss Man is top tier. He'd felt a ticklish giddiness at having his girls cling to him so. He'd never felt anything like it in his life. This is the hour of flashbacks. But there were times where he also found it tiresome. If it somehow comes out that Boss Man is in any way involved in, like, the bad things of this game and not just his usual trying to scam people shenanigans, I'm going to be actually upset. I'm going to be actually upset. Like, if he turns out to actually be part of, like, the terrorist organization, I'm going to be mad. I'm sick of being the person I am. Like, if he ends up being part of it, or if Miku ends up being part of it, but I can't imagine her. But the game likes to pull twists. Yes, it's the only power play, yeah. There's nothing I can do about that, though. I'm sure it's far too late for me to change. He poured out all his negative emotions into his post. It felt like stream of consciousness drivel, but he didn't hesitate to write it down all the same. He wanted other people to know what a miserable excuse for a human being he was. At last, when he couldn't think of anything else to add, he posted his bitter confession to the forum. He was staring numbly at the monitor when he heard a furious shout from the next room. You have got to be kidding me! I really hope it's Donkey Kong reading his forum post. It was Kajiwara, and Osawa had never heard him so angry. Okay, if he's actually angry, probably not. Osawa headed into the living room and found Kajiwara embroiled in a vehement argument with the other detectives. I don't care what HQ's policy is, I will not just quietly go along with this. Kajiwara had already screamed himself right in the face. You're out of line, snapped one MPD detective. Kichi Sawatari, with the Metropolitan Police Department's first criminal investigation section. Having heard of Kajiwara's past deeds from friends at the Shibuya precinct, he recommended to his boss that Kajiwara be assigned to the investigation at the Osawa residence. After seeing the detective's interactions with Osawa, he is confident that his recommendation was in the right. However, given the circumstances, he can't help but take a cold stance towards Kajiwara. Hold your tongue. I don't care if I'm out of line. You may have talent, I'll give you that, the other detective said, but you're a precinct detective, and this isn't your jurisdiction. It's not your place to question orders from higher up. Yeah, it's probably because they shut down the kidnapping case. Wait, Osawa thought. Kajiwara really is a real detective after all? Yes. Go on, explain the situation to Mr. Osawa. Kajiwara bit his lip in frustration at the other detective's order. Very well, he said. But before he could say more, Osawa noticed that the police equipment had all been cleared off of the table. Hold on, Osawa said. What's going on? Has something happened? Allow me to explain, sir, Kajiwara said. His bitterness showed plainly on his face. We've been recalled, sir. The MPD has established a security force, headed by members of its Public Security Bureau, to deal with the bioterrorism threat. Because of the kidnapping task... Oh. Excuse me. Oh, yeah. DK and Osawa going rogue? Because the kidnapping task force has not yet found Maria, and she's... Ooh, hiccups. And she's infected with the virus, the task force personnel have instead been absorbed into the security force, and will continue the work under its direction. Osawa narrowed his eyes, fighting to keep the confusion from his face. What do you mean by that? He was shaking, terrified to have his suspicions confirmed. I'm truly sorry, sir, for having been unable to help you. Kajiwara gave a deep and solemn bow. But, Maria? What's going to happen to Maria? Another unit has been tasked with bringing your daughter into custody, sir. That much at least Osawa could process. You're going to place her under quarantine, aren't you? Kajiwara's lips stiffened, but he nodded. In order to minimize the spread of the virus, so I'm told. No, Osawa cried. You can't do that. If you do, there won't be any way to save her. His head spun. Please, I beg of you. You need to get Maria to me. I might be able to save her. When Kajiwara didn't respond, he turned to the other detectives. Please, don't. You can't place Maria under quarantine. But the detectives' only answer was to avert their eyes. Why are you all ignoring me? Please, you have to listen. If you'd bring her to me, I can figure something out. I know I can. He plucked himself down on the floor, yelling and flailing his arms like a child throwing a tantrum. Oh man. The detectives exchanged sullen looks with one another, and then walked off and left him there. He knew he must be a sorry sight, but nevertheless he kept shouting after them. Please, don't stand by and let my daughter die. Yeah. Oh man, is this actually gonna happen? Are they actually gonna join forces? Only Kajiwara remained with him in the living room. I'm sorry, sir. This was beyond my ability to stop. He gave another apologetic bow. Sawa felt suddenly deflated. No, you've done a fine job, Detective Kajiwara. It's me who should be sorry. I've made such a disgraceful display of myself. It's not true, sir. In fact, I'm deeply moved. I can tell how much Maria must mean to you. Osawa shook his head. If I'd really been thinking about Maria, I would have made an effort to work with you detectives more. That was all just self-absorbed shouting. A moment of emotional selfishness. And yet, as a result, you convinced me to stay here with you. Kajiwara proceeded to pull out his phone and put in a request with the task force headquarters to remain at the Osawa residence. He got into a heated spat with his commanding officer, but ultimately received permission to stay on as the police liaison with Osawa. Well, the detective said when he'd hung up, you see, there are some people who are legitimately moved by a parental display of emotion. Even if I'm not certain that I can do very much in staying here with you. It's going down, man. That's not true, Osawa replied. There's plenty you can help me with. He looked into Kajiwara's face and smiled. For instance, I have to pick A, right? I have to pick A. We have to pick it. I don't know what the right answer is here. None of these sound game-changing or anything. But we have to pick A. He's tried to offer us that banana like 10 times, and we've given him sass every time. Didn't we slap it out of his hand one time? I can have a banana whenever I want. Kajiwara returned Osawa's grin even more brightly. Yes, yes, of course. By all means. As many... How many bananas does he have? I have an actual... I would like to know how many bananas he has. I assumed it's been the same banana he's just put into and taken out of his pocket the whole time. But he also pulled an entire... Yeah, he has a pocket dimension. He pulled an entire self-designed apron out of his pocket, so he then produced a pair of bananas from his pocket, handing one to his companion. Okay. This is everything I wanted out of Osawa's story, is that picture. I also want him to find his daughters and maybe stop the disease that's going to ravage all of Japan, but on a personal level. That picture. Osawa peeled his banana and took a hearty bite. The mild sweetness was pleasant and soothing. It was a flavor that brought back memories. I often eat bananas when I go to the park with my daughter, Kajiwara muttered between mouthfuls. Didn't realize you had a daughter, Detective. She just started grade school this year. Oh, really? She must be adorable. Well, I don't get to see her as much as I'd like. A lonely sort of smile crossed Kajiwara's face. This is... I could, at the same time, I won't. Because this is the type of thing that's like... If anybody starts this game, I don't want to ruin this moment for them. I couldn't. Like, you're right, there's no direct spoilers here, technically. But I wouldn't want to spoil this moment. Because, like, if you flash back 2 streams ago or something and said, yeah, this is going to happen, I'd be like, you're lying. No, that couldn't happen. No, not going to happen. Not at all. So, like, yeah. Why is that? Doing this job caused me to neglect my family. Finally, about 2 years ago, my wife hit me with the divorce paperwork. I wanted to be able to keep our daughter with me, but, well, the law tends to favor the mother when it comes to custody issues. The detective then pulled 2 bars of chocolate from his pocket. It's good to have something sweet when you're exhausted, he said. Osawa took one, but said nothing. More recently, my ex-wife has been talking about getting remarried, Kajiwara continued. And she wants me to stop seeing our daughter. Oh, you can't do that. Getting remarried, fine, that's your own business, whatever. You can't be like, don't see the... Like, no! He bit into his own chocolate bar with a soft snap, because, like, you can even tell just from the way he does his job. He's gotta be a great dad. He clearly prioritized his time poorly, but, like, he's clearly not, like, a bad father. It's no less than I deserve. No, don't say that. But it still hurts. Oh. Osawa couldn't help but sympathize. The man was losing his daughter. Here was someone he could really talk to. He was sure of that much now. Detective, I apologize. I've kept things from you because I was worried that they involved classified corporate information. Oh? Kajiwara's eyes glimmered with interest. Earlier today, I received some emails. They could be pertinent to the case. Would you mind letting me see them? Osawa shook his head. On the contrary. Oh man. Back in front of his computer, Osawa saw that IANET was still open. Pretty honey. Pretty honey. Kano's future father-in-law, masquerading as a 19-year-old on a fan forum for over 40 fans of a pop singer idol. This game is weird, and I love every single bit of it. One moment, just let me read this. We gotta let him read the response. If only because I want to know what the response is. Right? Even if it's the bad ending, I want to know. Like, even if we have to come back and repick it, I gotta know. Also, I just got one... I don't know why my mustache is deciding today to be a pain. One moment. Just let me read this. Osawa read Osawa read the response. I get that same result. Do you really think it's too late? Or I got that same result. You got that same result because they put in the same information of like birth year, like, or it's just a really bad fortune teller. Don't give up hope. Hang in there. Ooh poo poo. It's never too late. Every family has its share of problems. Oh, hold on. Kinda surprised. But okay. Dual shot, keep charging. Like, you'll never find one that doesn't, I'm sure. When it comes to family, there's no such thing as game over. So don't let it get you down, Julie. Besides, I did learn one thing from reading your post. In the end, a father's happiness is his daughter's happiness. That actually means a lot coming from him, doesn't it? Kajiwara appeared into the monitor. That's damn it, if we hadn't found that little detail, like, this would still be sweet, but it wouldn't be like, oh man. Kajiwara appeared into the monitor. A young girl is posting to a forum for people 40 and older. It's pretty, honey. She always replies to my threads. The detective furrowed his brow. I see. Something the matter? No. That last line there just has me curious, is all. What was the last line? Oh, yeah, okay. I assumed. A young girl writing something like that? Well, that's neither here nor there right now. Let me see those emails if you would. I'm glad we picked A. Got a snack and drink? Heck yeah. Very nice. Osawa opened his email. He pulled up the images of the human testing on the monitor. What is this? Kajiwara stared at the monitor as if unable to look away. These are images from unauthorized clinical testing of an antiviral drug I developed, carried out by my company without my knowledge. Images of a... I'm sorry, what was that? The detective frowned at the unfamiliar terminology. In simple terms, the antiviral is a wonder drug to combat the Ua virus. Hold on. Maria is infected with the Ua virus, isn't that right? Yes. Ua is a species of virus discovered in South Africa relatively recently. Roughly 12 hours after infection, patients develop a cough, then a fever, then begin vomiting, and ultimately begin to bleed uncontrollably from all over, resulting in death. The mortality rate is... Osawa was reluctant to say it. Kajiwara held his breath, waiting. It's nearly 100%. Kajiwara shuddered. But... wait, he said after a moment. If you have this wonder drug, then Maria... Osawa shook his head. Without Tanaka, I have no means of getting it out of the lab. Kajiwara's frown deepened. I see. There may not be much to go on, but I think we can put together at least one piece of our little mystery here. Maximum wholesomeness, yeah. It's not specifically, but yeah, it's the supervirus. Insert supervirus here. Something difficult or impossible to explain. An enigma. You see plenty of books titled The Mystery of Such and Such and The Secret of Whatever on bookstore shelves. But when you read them, you're invariably disappointed by the mystery not being that mysterious after all. Pardon me one moment. Kajiwara inspected the email address of the sender, A, then brought up the mail header. You don't see email address Tonight, English, you don't see email addresses like this much. It's seemingly from a foreign country, but that may be fake. You can tell that just from the email? The detective flashed a little grin. Take a look here. So if we just do this, and then this, his fingers flew over the keyboard, calling up the header details, singling out the received from field. This set of 4 numbers at the bottom is the sender's IP address. Think of it as an ordinary hidden location marker of sorts. As he spoke, the detective pulled up a website called IP Station. He copied and pasted the set of 4 numbers and pressed the enter key. The monitor showed the name of the provider, connection method, and other such details. Excuse me. A vendor that provides an internet connection service, typically poorly if you're anywhere in the United States. A typical internet connection requires a dedicated line. Customers who do not already have one must make a contract for one with the provider, who usually provides it poorly. When the provider establishes your connection to the internet, you are assigned an identifying number called an IP address. Factual, at least, yeah. That's something the US internet doesn't do poorly, because it's a requirement, you have to have an IP address. Just how it is. Osawa couldn't make heads or tails of most of it, but one thing drew his eye. Access point, Shibuya Ward, Tokyo. Kajiwara went into the email program's options and checked the server info for Osawa's connection. Deep furrows formed in his forehead. This is the same provider that you use, Mr. Osawa. What does that mean? Not just local. I mean, I don't know how many providers they had in Japan in 2008, but, you know. Oh man, if Aki's dad is, like, tied into all this, I'll be shocked. What does that mean? What kind of internet connection do you have here at your house? What sort? Well, it's plugged in over there, but... So, yeah, he doesn't know how to work a microwave oven. He doesn't know what type of internet connection he has, I assure you. Does everyone in your family use that same line? Yes, I think so. Kajiwara opened up a command prompt and typed ipconfig. A real thing. If you want to know the details of your IP address and everything, open your command prompt and type ipconfig. That's actually how you do it, yeah. A literal prompt for users to issue computer control commands via keyboard instead of mouse. Also frequently used to refer to the window or program allowing for such. But yeah, that's legit. That's true. Okay, so if the same numbers we saw before pop up here, that's a bad sign. Oh? Osawa stared at the monitor. Kajiwara pressed enter, and a black window covered in white alphanumeric characters appeared. What the heck? Kajiwara muttered under his breath. Wait, what's going on? Osawa asked. Explain simply so that I can understand. Faking an email address is simple enough, but the typical person wouldn't be able to fake an IP. I mean, now you can, but apparently in 2008 it was harder. Now you just use a VPN. Like, that's it. But I imagine in 2008 your average person would be... It could be, yeah. It's very likely that these emails were sent from another computer inside this house. Osawa had to stifle a gasp. The emails had been sent from his own house at around 11 o'clock that morning. Since Osawa hadn't sent them himself, they left only one possible culprit. Or Tanaka. Or wait, maybe he wasn't around at 11. Suddenly, his phone rang, nearly startling him out of his seat. Makino's name showed up on the incoming call. Great. Sure he's got good news. Osawa quickly picked up. Is there an update on the emergency board meeting? He blurted. Makino's voice was quiet and subdued. I tried pulling whatever strings I could, but to no avail. I guess we'll just have to let your daughter die. I tried really, really hard. Trust me, you can tell from my voice how tired I am after trying so hard for the past 20 minutes, I want to say. Maybe longer. It was right there, right? No, it was like there? 20 minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes. Tried pulling whatever strings I could, but to no avail. I'm afraid holding a board meeting today just won't be possible. The phone fell from Osawa's hand. His only possible means of saving Maria was now gone. Oh, excuse me. Of course, to be continued. Which means we only have one ending left, or one thing to do. I don't even know what Minorikawa is going to do. He's not getting in the car with Osawa now. I legitimately don't even know how his is going to potentially play out. Oh, we've got so many to be continueds and ends at different timestamps. Like, ugh. He's still at 05? Okay. Let's go through this bit again. Yeah. And he's still got the whole 50 minutes left as well. Like, he's got a ton of time. I'm just gonna get back to where we were, because, like, we've seen this twice now. Yeah, that face every time. Yep, drops the piece of wood, goes away, says, don't go anywhere till I get back with a cooler weapon. Taxi bro, taking us for a ride. Let it go. Until we get, because we should still get out of the vehicle, right? And at that point we'll pick up. Come on. Okay. In like the 5 minutes he was on camera, he had so many dead ends and bad ends. There were 2 different ways he got killed by Kiryu. He hit Kano for a bad end. He got in the car with Osawa for a bad end. He's had so many bad ends in the first like 5 minutes of this hour. Like, it's insane. See, I've had a better time with it because I've just been reading them. That helps. The narrating it helps a bunch. Oh, Aki for the bad end. I don't know why I keep thinking he hits Kano, but you're right. Because we've hit Kano before. But you're right. It was Aki. Yep. Taxi stopped inside. 1,000 yen note on the seat. Oh, this is new. Kimizuka was leaning out of the window to point at him. It isn't called work because it's fun, sir. The day will be over soon enough. Just hang in there a little bit longer. The driver finished with a knowing grin. Norikawa cracked a ghost of a smile. Maybe his spirits had been lifted just a teeny little bit. Thank you, he replied. You're a true friend of the working man. He is. He waved half-heartedly, then headed into the building. You didn't kill him, actually? Well, there is definitely at least one time where Kiryu absolutely does kill him. But you're right. We take him to the hospital when we hit Aki. There's been a lot of bad stuff. Mr. Mino! Chiaki threw herself at him as soon— Oh, hey, Chiaki! Chiaki threw herself at him as soon as he opened the door to the editing office. News of the explosion was playing on the television, and he's covered in burns. Norikawa marched straight to his desk and opened up his laptop. While it booted up, he tried to get a handle on the current situation. Where are the folks from the loan company? He asked. They're here, Chiaki said. I have them waiting downstairs. Do they know Toyama's dead? I'm sorry. Kinda let that slip. What about Hana? I'm not sure. I haven't heard from her since she called earlier. Oh, she's gonna show up here shortly. With a tiny sigh, Minorikawa started typing at his laptop. By some miracle, his 6 pages of the copy were nearly wrapped up. Still, he needed to do whatever it took to see this job through to the end. That would serve as his final tribute to Toyama's memory. Toyama, who's not actually dead. And is gonna shock the hell out of these guys. He loaded his copy into the DTP software in order to set the layout. Bit by bit, actual magazine articles began to take shape. Then the editing department door swung open. Hey, snarled the younger man, who barged in first. He kicked over a stack of books. How long are you going to keep us waiting, huh? Honestly, Sagawa must you be so rowdy? A middle-aged man stepped up alongside him. Are you Mr. Minorikawa then? He added as his eyes fixed on the journalist. He held out his business card. A pleasure to meet you. I am Asao Ozu from Takarada Financing, a black market lending firm that offers loans at an interest rate above what the law allows, well known for taking whatever steps necessary to collect what's owned. Its business card slogan: got bad credit, but you need a loan? Call anytime. We'll put together a loan that suits your needs. Huh. Isn't that always what they say, huh? My deepest sympathies about Mr. Toyama. However, I'm afraid that we do need you to give us back the money we loaned. Why us? Toyama went out of business. Despite his polite tone, the threat in his voice was plain. Look, next month's issue of 4-Star General Gossip is definitely coming out. Couldn't you please wait for the repayment until we have the funds from those sales? Minorikawa asked. That was exactly what Toyama's plan had been, after all. Well, we certainly aren't monsters. If the magazine is going to be making you money, we wouldn't mind delaying another month. You really mean it? Chiaki chirped. To clarify, that would be the case if Toyama was still alive. If he's dead, why do his debts go to us? Why? We're not even employed by him. We're freelance. Releasing the next issue is all well and good, but with Toyama gone, so too is the company. That will make full repayment of what we're owed impossible, I expect. Then what do you want us to do? Minorikawa asked coldly, and fairly, yeah? Yeah, because they're scumbags, obviously. How about we just cut to the chase? Growled the younger man, Sagawa. Dig out your ears and listen up. Chiaki recoiled in a panic, and Minorikawa held up an interposing hand. Knock it off, he said. You're scaring the young lady. A thin smile came to Ozu's face. All we want to know is where Mr. Toyama's daughter is. Oh, no, they can't. The one person here who doesn't deserve anything bad to happen is her. The Yakuza front. Oh, okay, gotcha. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right, Sagawa said. Tell us where the girl is. No way, Chiaki squeaked in protest. Hana's just a little kid. She doesn't have any responsibility to pay back the... Ozu didn't let her finish. Oh my. We're aware of that. Nevertheless, we'd still like to know where she is. She's like 10. She doesn't have the money for you. Well, again, they did cover earlier that these guys are actually thugs. These are actual Yakuza guys, so like, yeah. The law didn't matter right now. Guys like this had all sorts of ways of wringing money out of people. It was clear from the looks on their faces that Ozu and Sagawa had some wicked scheme up their sleeves. Unless, of course, you would prefer to take on Mr. Toyama's debts, Mr. Minorikawa. You are quite the accomplished reporter, after all. Take on his debts, huh? Minora didn't know how much Toyama had borrowed. But it only took one look at these guys to tell him it was no small sum. How about it? Ozu asked. The way you land scoop after scoop, I'm sure you'll be able to repay us in full before you die. Oh. Minorikawa fiercely returned his stare. Alright, I'll take on the debt. I'll consider it. Could you give me some time? Can't we just call it even? So C's not gonna work. A is suicide. B is non-committal? Like, I don't think any of these are that great. Try C. They're clearly not gonna go for it. But I feel like the non-committal answer doesn't help either, like... Like, they're clearly not gonna... But we also need to get them out of here. Because we, the player, know Hana is on her way. None of the characters in the scene know that, but we do. I'll try B. I don't think that's going to get them to leave. I think that just... I think A is the only one that'll get them to leave, but I think it's also stupid. I'll consider it. Could you give me some time? Chiaki went pale at Minorikawa's response. No. How can you even think about taking their offer? She cried. Sagawa stepped in, drowning her out. No way. We've waited long enough. Give us your answer now. Yes or no. What's it gonna be? Now, let's just calm down, Ozu chided. He said that he'd consider it. That's a step in the right direction. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Minorikawa? Yeah, sure. Then I suppose we can wait at least a little while longer. Minorikawa had hoped to put them off for several days at least, but it didn't look like that was going to happen. Whoops. Maybe, that's true too, sir dude. Huh. They're literally just gonna wait here. Okay. The two men from Takarada Financing plunked themselves down on the editing department sofa. Mr. Mino, you're not actually going to take on that debt, are you? Chiaki asked quietly. Minorikawa sat at his desk, looking over the copy he'd written. That's none of your concern, he said. What I need to know is how your piece on those street interviews is coming. But I mean, those guys, they said it doesn't matter if the issue comes out or not. Don't be ridiculous. When a professional agrees to take on a job, they see it through to the end. Chiaki took his point and scampered to grab the printout of her copy. Minorikawa gave it a quick once-over. He saw immediately that the piece was lacking in structure. He then read the article a second time, checking the finer details. Several off-theme sentences jumped out at him. It's no good. Rewrite it. He thrust the printout back at Chiaki. Yes, sir. She bowed her head and retreated to another desk. The TV was still on. A news broadcaster voice suddenly broke through the silence, as well as Minorikawa's concentration. We're live on the scene now, where an explosion in Shibuya has... Minorikawa gazed blankly at the screen. He found his mind drifting to a particular memory of Toyama. Yeah, this is the flashback hour, right here. The door looked like it might fall apart at any moment, but Minorikawa didn't care. He pounded on it as hard as he could. The Toyama nameplate popped off and fell to the floor. It was hard to believe this dilapidated apartment was the home of a newspaper editor who'd worked his way up from reporter. Hey, Toyama, get your ass out here. At the sound of Minorikawa's angry shouting, other tenants on the floor poked their heads out of their rooms to stare. He paid them no heed, continuing to call out. Eventually, Toyama opened the door, dressed in his sweats and undershirt. Quiet down, you moron, he snapped. Come on in. I hear you tendered your letter of resignation at the paper, when Minorikawa sat cross-legged on the tatami-covered floor. Tell me why. Toyama quirked a lopsided grin. You want to know why I quit, huh? Alright, lean in close. Minorikawa peered at him dubiously. Huh? Why? I don't want anyone overhearing this. Resigned, Minorikawa leaned forward and turned his right ear towards Toyama. The man's warm breath against his cheek was pretty unsettling. At first he had trouble concentrating on Toyama's story. You know, a reporter, somebody who goes out and pays attention to things, and writes it down later, as a profession. But when the older man got to the crux of the matter, he found himself listening with rapt attention. By the time Toyama finished, Minorikawa was unable to suppress his shock. You're starting your own publishing company? Not so loud, damn it! Toyama shushed him with a finger to his lips. He looked around warily, as if there might be spies in his own apartment. Right, but a publishing company? Minorikawa said again, more quietly this time. What are you doing for your distributor account? All booksellers were required to use a wholesale distributor to circulate their publications. To do business with such a distributor, a publisher needed a specialized distributor account. You're not going to let a company with no track record open a new account with a distributor. Then, how do new companies get started? That doesn't make sense. I'm sure you must realize that. Toyama grinned, a proud gleam in his eyes. I know. That's why I bought one. You bought one? A ghost account, belonging to a publisher that went bankrupt. Distributor accounts could go for tens of millions of yen. There's no way Toyama could afford that on his severance pay alone. He must have taken out a loan in order to make the purchase. But the publishing industry was in a slump nowadays. People just weren't buying books much anymore. Starting up a new publishing company was a beyond risky endeavor. That's where the money went, and I've already decided on a name for my company, Minorikawa. Toyama's face was positively beaming. Gotta go to bed. Mondays are early work days. No worries. Get some rest. Hope it goes well tomorrow. Early work days. And yeah, thanks for hopping by, Potions. Hope you enjoyed everything going down. Oh boy. And see you next time. Get this. Heaven Publishing. Heaven? That sounds fatalistic. The idea is that the people who work for me will feel like they're in paradise. For all his fetching about keeping quiet, Toyama was now exclaiming pretty loudly himself. I mean, I can appreciate your willingness to take the risk, but surely your wife must have had objections, Minorukawa said. Toyama fell silent. He went and opened up the refrigerator. Minorukawa took a peek inside. Its shelves were mournfully spare, holding little besides beer cans and drinking snacks. The missus left me. Took our daughter with her. Oh. Okay. Those scant few words painted the picture clearly enough. Yeah, that's his daughter. Toyama grabbed a can of beer and tossed it to his guest. But no more sob stories, he went on. He briskly cracked open his own can of beer. Weak foam bubbling from the top. Cheers, Minorukawa, to Heaven Publishing. He'd cast everything aside and was striving for a new beginning. If the man had braced himself for the challenge, it wasn't Minorukawa's place to tell him he was making a mistake. Even if it was an uphill battle, he had little chance of winning. Congrats, Mr. Toyama. Minorukawa pulled the tab on his beer can. Cheers. The two of them clacked their cans together. One year had passed since Toyama founded Heaven Publishing. Minorukawa poked his head into the editing office, a bag from the convenience store in hand. Hey boss, how's business? How does it look like it's doing? Toyama sat amidst a veritable mountain of returned stock, his expression bleak. Bookstores do not purchase the books they sell, but rather take them on consignment. This allows them to return to the publisher any books they do not sell. The books were all bulky, non-fiction tomes, not exactly the sort of fly-off-the-shelf. The man couldn't even muster a smile for their reunion. It's been like this for every non-fiction book we've put out. Stop putting out non-fiction books. Wow, starting right off with the bleak stuff, huh? 'Cause things are bleak. The only thing that's selling is this gossip rag of ours. Minorukawa pulled some beer cans from his bag, handing one to Toyama. Toyama lifted an issue of 4-star general gossip from atop his desk. It was Heaven Publishing's one breadwinner, the only thing keeping the company afloat. But the gossip now seemed like it was buried in the red of the publisher's non-fiction release. I really did have higher aspirations than this, Toyama sighed, gazing in disappointment at the piles of unsold books. But here we are. I assume here we are, with our gossip magazine as our only viable publication. The beleaguered bookseller chugged his beer. Daddy, I'm hungry. Minorukawa was startled to hear a young child's voice. He turned around to see a little girl nestled between the stacks of returned stock. That's my daughter, Hana, Toyama said. It's complicated, but she's living with me now. Somehow? I see. Minorukawa couldn't press for more details with Hana right there. In all likelihood, things with Toyama's ex-wife hadn't been going well. Go on, introduce yourself, Toyama said. This is one of Daddy's works friends. Hana turned to Minorukawa with a bright little grin. Hello, my name's Hana. I'm 6. You want some of this? Minorukawa held out a packet of dried squid he brought to go with the beers. Sure. Hana greedily stuffed her cheeks with the squid. Toyama flashed a sheepish grin. Do you like living with your daddy, Hana? Minorukawa asked, giving the girl's hair a gentle ruffle. Uh-huh, I do. Wow, what changed in the next 4 years? Like, something, or however long it is. I don't know how old she is now, 8, 10, something like that. Uh-huh, I do. My daddy's amazing. He runs a company. Wow. Toyama let out a tiny, involuntary sob at his daughter's ready praise. I'll keep at it, Toyama said, looking into his daughter's smiling face. Hannah is more important to me than any high aspirations I might have had. Doesn't sound like him now. I'll keep shuffling out copies of the gossip, and at least make sure she's always got something good to eat. Daddy, this is really tasty. Hannah held up the pouch of dried squid. Tears welled in Toyama's eyes. Next time, I'll make sure she has some sashimi instead of something like this. Hey, what do you mean something like this? Minorikawa grumbled. Yeah, something changed. I'm the one who bought it. Toyama and his daughter laughed together. It was a heartwarming sight, Minorikawa thought. A father and his girl getting along so well. Toyama might have been a hard-hitting journalist, but when he came home at the end of the day, he was just daddy. It was only natural for the man, as a father, to put his child above anything else. Except flash forward 4 years where he tries to kill himself in front of his daughter so his daughter can find his body, because, you know, that's fine. After gorging herself on snacks, Hannah fell asleep on the sofa, looking well and truly satisfied. You know, Minorikawa, Hannah's happiness means more to me than my lofty artistic ideals ever could. Toyama kept his voice low as he regarded his daughter's sleeping face. And from that day forward, Heaven Publishing had shifted its focus to scandal rags, with 4-star general gossip as its pillar. Had that been for good or for ill? Whatever the case, Toyama had abandoned his pride. Minorikawa had watched him become more and more of a miserable wretch. Back to time, Minorikawa snapped back into the present as a sheaf of pages appeared in front of his face. Here you go, Chiaki said, radiating anxiety. Right. He put, basically the loan sharks, he put scratch-off tickets in his magazine, but he didn't make it so you couldn't just hold it up to the light and see which one to scratch. So he went into massive amounts of debt because he had to pay out a ton of money. So yeah. Right? They're trying to make him sympathetic, but it just makes me hate the current version of him more. Minorikawa gave her copy a close read over, then thrust it back out to her. What did you even fix? He asked. Could you please tell me what parts are wrong? She mumbled, hanging her head. What are you talking about? It's just, well, we don't have a lot of time here, so I figure if I just fix the parts that need fixing... Chiaki trailed off into an indistinct mutter. Is that always how you go about fixing your copy? Yes. Then you're never going to get any better. If someone tells you it's no good, you rewrite the whole thing from scratch. Just making fiddly tweaks here and there is what an amateur does. Chiaki dipped her head even deeper, cringing at the reprimand. To sell copies of it, I guess? Minorikawa let out a tiny sigh. Look, what I just told you, that's what Toyama told me when I was first starting out. There were times he'd have me do dozens of rewrites. At first I thought he was just pushing me around, but after rewriting things over and over, I realized something. There are a whole lot of ways you can write about the same thing, and that's what helped me hone my skills as a writer. Chiaki raised her head back up. Oh, wow, really? If you can get that, then stick with it. Ride your submission deadline as close as you have to in order to write the best piece you can. Okay, I can do it. I will do it. Finally, Chiaki's face brightened with a smile. That's the spirit. The woman might have talent, but she hadn't realized it yet. She needed to be able to stick to an assignment even when things got tough. If she didn't have that kind of resolve, she'd never make it as a freelancer. Yeah. Well, yeah, Sauce. We're not saying she ended as in, like, to be continued. She ended. It said end. Not bad end, not to be continued. End. So... yeah. Oh, how touching, Osu chimed in, applauding. I'm almost moved to tears. They'll make a movie of this for sure.
Oh no!
See, we had only been acquainted with that sad sap Toyama. We never knew there was such an upstanding fellow here who was so good at tough love. Minorikawa shot to his feet and pounded his fist on the desk. That's about enough from the peanut gallery. Hold your tongue, Sagawa snarled. His eyes shone with a vicious gleam. We're getting sick of waiting here. Sagawa, you really are a short-tempered guy, aren't you? Ozu clucked disapprovingly at his underling, then slid a sheet of paper into Minorikawa's desk. Nevertheless, I'm afraid we do require a decision. Now. If you'll just stamp here, we'll be on our way. Chiaki stared down at the document. Is this a bond of recognizance? Yeah, that's right. That's what you write when transferring a debt. Sagawa puffed himself up proudly. Minorikawa silently looked over the contract. If you don't have a stamp, we'll gladly accept a signature as well, Ozu pointed out. Face it, pal, Sagawa added. If you don't hurry up and sign, we're never going to stop going after Toyama's daughter. Minorikawa snatched up a pen. Mr. Mito, you can't do this. Think about what you're doing, Chiaki shouted. If you go through with this, you'll just wind up like Mr. Toyama. Yeah, that's true. I won't. Yes, you will. Just who the hell do you think I am? I'm Minoru Minorikawa, damn it. I'm gonna land so many scoops it will make your head spin. And I'm gonna pay back this debt and rebuild Heaven Publishing. But why would you take such a risk? Chiaki sobbed. Minorikawa lowered his voice. Because I owe him so much. I can't stand by and let these scumbags kill his daughter. Aha! Before Minorikawa could sign, Sagawa startled him with a sudden exclamation. Looking up, Minorikawa saw what the loan sharks had seen. Little Hannah, standing by the door. Get her! Why get her if we're gonna sign over the— Okay, on it, boss. Ozu and Sagawa rushed at the girl. Run! Minorikawa shouted. Hana bolted right back out the door, but Ozu managed to snatch her up just as she reached the stairs. Let's be on our way, shall we? A vile grin came to Ozu's cruel face as he headed down the stairwell. Stop! Let her go! Minorikawa rushed after them, trying to grab the girl, but Sagawa drove a punch right into his face. Not gonna lie, we've covered that Minorikawa's not a bad guy. I don't mind seeing him get punched. It's bad that Hana's getting carried away, but I don't mind seeing him get punched. Oh, he went down a lot of stairs. Wait, wasn't he above them? Oog! The pain staggered him. Nevertheless, he managed to press on. Get your hands off that girl. Oh, he did. Shut your damn— Yeah, he's something hard slammed into his chest. His vision went dark. He felt himself slipping from consciousness. Just before he blacked out, he heard Hannah's voice. I'm sorry, Uncle Minorikawa. Sorry? Now I'm the one who should apologize. But before his thought got any further, Minorikawa passed out. Yep. Hana gets caught. Do we have to go back to— Oh, we gotta go back to Kano, don't we? Hana showed up at the office only to get caught by the moneylenders, and Sagawa drop-kicked Minorikawa into unconsciousness when he tried to save her. Turns out, Hana had been at the police station just before this, trying to decide if she should tell the police her father had been killed in the explosion. Then someone brought her to Heaven Publishing, which was clearly a mistake. I'm mad that we have to not go to try and find Sauce. Yeah. I'm mad that that's not the answer. Alright. Kano. That one? No. Is it? Where was the choice then? Phone call from Titanos before that. Is it that one? Are we sure? Oh, it is. You're right. It is that one. Sorry. Yep. Yep, you got it. I was... Cause... Yeah, I'm good. Then of the two, he should try to keep his promise to Sasayama then, at least? We should continue with the train of thought of Sasayama? Kind of thought about Sasayama's wife and decided to get in touch with her. We know the rest of his days gotta play out roughly the same besides that. Because He hit to be continued. He called Sasayama's home phone, but nobody picked up. Perhaps she'd gone to the hospital. With that in mind, Kano called up Shibuya Central Hospital, asked him to transfer to Miss... Wait, what was the name? Went too quick. Miss Sasayama, okay. After a little while, a woman's voice came through the receiver. Yes, this is Mrs. Sasayama. The voice was thin and reedy. My name is Shinya Kano. I work with your husband on the force. What happened? He didn't know what to say. He couldn't find the words. I wish that I'd been there when he'd gone to make that arrest, he blurted out at last. I should have tried to get there and back him up sooner. If I hadn't been too late. He trailed off, hoping he hadn't said too much. He got stabbed, and he's in intensive care right now. Sasayama's wife answered in her gentle, quivering voice. Thank you so much for your concern. I'm glad that my husband is lucky enough to have a colleague like you. No, I couldn't. I married a detective, Mr. Kano. I've prepared myself for the possibility that something like this might happen. But she certainly didn't sound like she was prepared. Kano felt a biting pain in his chest. Excuse me, your husband gave me something to hold on to for you. Stupid hiccups. I'd like to give it to you if I can. Oh? Well, certainly, but I'd like to stay here by his side today if possible. Of course, I'll head on over to the hospital myself then. I hope you don't mind if I pay a visit? Well, of course not. Sorry to trouble you like this. Thank you so much. Kano hung up, then hurried out of the precinct. This might end up the same way. Yup. Okay. So, back we go. Gotta think about your own life. Well, third tries the charm, right? Began to worry about Rumi and decided to give her a call. The phone rang several times before it went to voicemail. The fact that she hadn't picked up made Kano all the more anxious. Oh, does he have to call? He was still staring at his phone when he got a call on his own. Okay. Appears the incoming call display, his heart nearly stopped. This should be the same, right? Accept the call. Tetrateno. Yep. Okay, so it plays out the same here. Cool. That should change. Oh, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. Just what I've been doing this whole time. Why do you let all call? It's the same text. Maybe we just have to see it through. Know what happened to Hitomi? Then I spoke. I hope we don't have to go through the whole thing. I secured Maria Osawa. Yeah. It's the same stuff. We'll let it go till at least like it saves again and we'll see. Like, I can't imagine anything changing because we didn't see Hana in his storyline. Maybe just because it's playing out in a different location? Yep, go to South Hill. I like how he straight up is like, if you don't bring the girl, I'm gonna shoot my captive. So he shows up without the girl. Like... Okay, so from there, to South Hill, and we already have the thing there. And now it plays out the rest of it. We just had to see that one bit through. Okay, cool. Orikawa. Now without Hana, who knows how this is going to play out. Maybe he'll actually sign the paper, which is terrifying. My only complaint about this game is I wish they had a better fast forward feature to get you back to where you left off. Like if I could hit a button that's like, go back to the point where I last... to the like first unread thing. Minor complaint. It's only wasted maybe 2-3 minutes total time over the course of this playthrough, but like, would be nice. Mind you, again, while modern visual novels have that, this is 12 years old by now, different time. I get it. Yep, you've got the paperwork. Okay, I won't. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, that's a lot here. Why'd you take such a risk? Because I own so much, yep. Okay. Ooh, that's a bad... Minorukawa ready to disband and signed the document. Alright, Sagawa cheered. Now we're talking. A satisfied grin came to Ozu's face as he reached for the contract. But before he could pick it up, Chiaki snatched it from the desk. Chiaki looking out for us, yo. Chiaki too good for us. I'm not letting you do this. Crumpling the paper, she stuffed it right in her mouth. Hey, Sagawa snapped. What the hell are you doing? He tried to force Chiaki's mouth open. Don't you dare, you bitch. But despite his frantic efforts, Chiaki managed to gulp the wad of paper down. Sagawa blinked a few times. Oh, you did not just do that. Ozu looked on, dumbstruck. Guess we gotta get a new contract from the office, boss. Bring as many as you want, Chiaki declared. I'll just keep eating them. If only Chiri was here, I'd believe it. Girl, you some kind of damn goat or something? The mental image of a goat eating paper is a common one, dating back to a long, long ago when paper was made solely out of plant material. If a goat were to eat modern paper, the wad of chemically treated pulp would go undigested and possibly cause an intestinal blockage. So please, do not feed paper to goats. There you go. Maybe they're related. Sagawa shoved Chiaki up against the desk. Ow! Cut that out! That hurts! As she struggled to resist, Chiaki lurched towards the desk, planting one of her hands atop the TV remote control. One of her fingers happened to land on the volume up button. The sound from the television set soon hit max volume. We have just learned that the explosion earlier claimed the life of one man. While police have stated that there is a likelihood of foul play— oh, we said not to say the name, too. There's a likelihood of foul play at work. They are also pursuing leads that this was a potential suicide. They hadn't released a name, but they must have been talking about Toyama. We might need to change that, yeah. Feeling the impact of his mentor's death all over again, Minorukawa slumped back in his chair, his body languid and lifeless. That's not to say maybe they still wouldn't have listened even if we were like, you should put out the name. He still might have been like, I don't think it's a good idea. We don't know yet. Still, there was one thing he could do for the friend he'd lost. Draw up a new contract. I'll sign it. Mr. Mino! Don't argue with me. I've made up my mind. Chiaki fell silent. No reneging on our deal now, Ozu said with a nasty sneer. I do hope you don't get any funny ideas about running out on us. But Minorukawa didn't need the warning. He had no such plans. Yeah, it might be bad end too then. Sagawa slapped a new contract onto the desk. Here, sign it. Minorukawa signed for a second time. Sagawa stepped up to make doubly certain that Chiaki couldn't eat it. I do hope you're able to earn enough to pay us back in short order, Mr. Minorukawa. With a satisfied grin, Ozu smacked him on the shoulder. See, you're not helping Toyama, even if he was dead. Oh. It's clearly a bad end, but I'm intrigued. This music, too. Minorukawa stood on the deck of his ship, as his ship set out across the rolling waves. Welcome back, potions. Yeah, it is. In order to pay back the loan as soon as he could, he'd had to quit his financially unreliable career as a freelancer. For over a year now, he'd been sailing the seas, tossed by wind and waves as he went in pursuit of his new goal. Dude, you're on the ocean. They can't find you. You're free. You're free. Like, but as Minorikawa gazed, he doesn't seem the type to not do it though. Like, but as Minorikawa gazed out over the vast wild ocean, his eyes shone with the self-same gleam that had lit them in his days as a reporter chasing after the truth. He's looking for the One Piece. With pen exchanged for fishing rod. He's embraced fishing. He sought a brand new destiny. Forge onward, Minorikawa. For the diamonds of the sea. The rare bluefin tuna. He's embraced fishing. He knows, man. He knows. Do you know what he's actually gonna catch? Goes out looking for tuna, finds Leviathan, makes a mint. Clearly a bad end, but an okay bad end. A man of the sea, so we do have to go back to that. There's so many things that Kano does that impacts this. Minorikawa took on Toyama's old debt and was forced to set out for a new life at sea. Was that really Toyama who was killed in that explosion? Minorikawa's future might turn out differently if he hears who was actually inside the minivan. That was another good bad ending. Yeah. Man, Minorikawa is filled with bad ends today. Just filled with them. That was a good end, though. That and the eating contest one were good ends. And the punch a hole through the universe and fall through with the cat costume. Those were the three best ends so far. I think releasing the name should be alright. There's still a lot they didn't know about Tanaka. The fact that the final stop for the ransom relay was Tanaka's condo implied some sort of connection between him and the kidnappers, but they still had no idea what his role in the abduction might have been. They also didn't have any motive for why Tanaka would be helping the kidnappers in the first place. By sharing some of what they did know with the public, they might be able to garner some new leads. Release the name? Alright then. Without another word, Kuze headed back towards the conference room. On the TV, governor's press conference. Will this change with the name? Cool. Alright, back we go again. To Chiaki's copy. It all goes back to the copy. Which means she's gonna eat it again, too. Just gonna hold down X, that's what we got. Eat paper. Consume paper. Delicious paper. Yep, pointing at us, talking. This bit. Excuse me. Gonna keep on going. Crazy Tail? Oh. Oh, Crazy Take. Gotcha. Yep. Stuff happens. You sign the paper. Gets eaten. You hear the news. In the Scramble. That's fair. He is not a bad guy. There are little snippets of moments where he's clearly treating people badly, people that I empathize with, like people in retail, but I get it. Yeah. He is absolutely fun. All of his stuff is cranked up to 11, and for what it's worth, he never means to be an ass. Like, the times where he has been rude and kind of dickish, he's not trying to, he just doesn't know how to do things not cranked up to 11. And that seeps out. Or in his interview style, it works. My favorite protag is definitely Aki, though. Like, there's a lot of good characters here. My favorite protag is Aki. Favorite character, it would be tough to pick. There are so many good characters, and so many of them aren't protags. Aki is really good. Yep, still going. Volume on the TV. This should be where it changes. Very fast when determined, apparently. Okay. We've just learned the identity of the victim killed in the explosion. Shibuya resident and pharmaceutical executive. Shibuya resident? When Horikawa tilted his head his confusion. Toyama didn't live in Shibuya. Once again, the victim of the explosion was Shibuya resident and pharmaceutical company executive Mamoru Tanaka. The cause of the explosion remains unknown. The police are still in the process of following up several potential leads. The site of the incident remains an alarming scene, with relief workers continuing to tend to the wounded. The four people in the editing office spoke in near unison. Huh? Nani? Who's Tanaka? Yeah, huh. Maybe you shouldn't be signing on... We were so close. Oh, that means we finished this this hour block. We're on to the next chapter. Tama and Bossman are saying, yeah, Bossman is top tier, Miku is top tier, Taxi Man top tier. There's a lot of top tier characters here, a lot of them. Balanced out by bottom tier, Suicide Dad. Are you scared about meeting with your father? Someone's broken through our firewall. I'm sorry, Mr. Mino. What? What? You'll lose everything. He had a whole set of bananas. What is going on in this chapter? It is really saddening. This is the final chapter. At least the final chapter we have a numbered trophy for. It's entirely possible that up here we have a trophy for like complete the game or something. So maybe this too, theoretically. We don't have the... They took her off the screen, guys. We have to start with Kano, right? We have to start with Kano, right? We have to start with Kano. I'm starting with Kano. I'm not actually even asking you guys. We're starting with Kano. Executive decision. We're starting with Kano. A gunshot rang out from Tateno's gun. But it was a wild shot, fired reflexively as the weapon flew out of his hand. Oh? A figure had leapt from behind the water storage tank, kicking him in the arm that held the gun. Oh, it's Canada. Maybe? Oh, Canada. Then, moving almost too fast for the eye to track, the newcomer delivered an elbow strike to Tateno's jaw. Kano didn't even have the chance to fire his gun. Before he could react, Maria's kidnapper was already laid out on the ground. It's gotta be Canada. But then why can't we continue Tama's story? Why can't we finish the story? I don't think things are out of the woods yet. The fact that we can't... Yeah, it could totally be a fake-out, yes. But I'm still worried. Without so much as looking back, the girl bolted down the stairs. "Maria!" Kano shouted. He started to chase after her, but a bright glimmer in the corner of his eye stopped him in his tracks. The strange assailant had drawn a knife, and was preparing to slit the unconscious Tateno's throat. Kano quickly brought his gun back to bear. Yeah, you know. He only held her for ransom and was going to kill her, but that's fine. "Stop right there!" The knife stopped mere millimeters from Tateno's neck. Kano was sure that if he hadn't intervened, the detective's throat would have been slit already. The knife wielder pulled back the hood that had been concealing her face. "You! I know you," Kano said, shocked to see that he recognized the attacker. Okay. It was a girl who'd been knocked down by the minivan explosion. Yup. "Why stop me?" she asked, her tone ice cold. "Weren't you just about to shoot him yourself?" As often as the bot lets you, like, as long as, like, there's no cooldown on it. But again, it's really just a random number generator. That's it. So, like, it's a fun little toy to play with, but it doesn't actually change anything. I don't have a reason to shoot him anymore. Not now that you've helped Maria escape.
Hit chance and luck.
Please, put the knife away. Very well. Looks like he's not waking up for a while anyway. Damn. The girl withdrew the knife and rose to her feet. Oh, he's just laid out. Why did you come to Maria's rescue? Because she is my friend, the girl said simply. Well, she's been infected with a virus, Kano said. We have to get her to help as soon as possible. He headed for the stairs that Maria had scampered down. Not so fast. Don't move. The girl's sharp tone made Kano stop. Oh. I really hope she doesn't know about the virus. The fact that she's stopping him after that either means she's suspicious of him, or she's complicit in the virus. What for? He demanded. I thought you wanted to help. I do want to help her, which is why I'm not letting the police get her hands on her. She also could be rightfully suspicious of police. The girl's voice was quiet, but hard as steel. The police are afraid of the Uavirus spreading, which is why they'll certainly place Maria under quarantine. Okay. Yeah. And they were going to, yes, actually. If that happens, there won't be any way to save her. Correct. And she's right. We know that. Okay. I'm not saying potions is wrong. There's still a distinct possibility. She could be suspicious. She could definitely be up to something. But she's at least staying... So far, she's staying true to the character we know her as. That if that had gone out differently... Oh yeah, that's fair, potions. And I'm not saying you're inherently wrong, because we don't fucking know at all. So who in the world are you? I'm Canada. Before I answer that, let's make a deal. Kano waited, non-committally. I have information relevant to this case, the girl continued. I want to make an exchange. Kano swallowed the lump in his throat. In exchange for what? Tell me where Hitomi Osawa is. Hitomi Osawa? Stanley had taken Hitomi into custody. Why does she want to know where Hitomi is? Oh, maybe she knows that Hitomi's blood can save... Maybe, I don't know. Kano could probably get in touch and ask him where she was, but... Why do you want to know where Hitomi is? Good question. Do we have a deal or not? The girl looked like she was in no mood to argue. Still, if she knew about the Uavirus, she was probably telling the truth about having information. But it was a violation of police policy to leak information on any investigation to a third party. Besides, was it wise to trust this young woman without knowing who she was? Kano weighed his options for a moment before replying. Who? So she's not going to answer C, let's be honest. This is a yes or no question. C is not going to work out. We can probably assume that, right? So do we trust her and go against the police code? Or do we go with Potions, who's like, suspicions. She's just Wesker in disguise. Get the antivirus from Hitomi to Maria. I don't know. I don't know about that. It is weird that she's asking for Hitomi. That's actually weird. That's the first thing that's happened so far that makes me a little suspicious. Is her asking for Hitomi. But she also clearly does know a lot of stuff, so maybe she'd know that. I don't know. Like, A progresses us? Yeah. A sounds like the right answer. But we've actively picked wrong answers first just to stick in character until we hit a bad end, so, you know, wouldn't be the first time. We've actively gone against progress plenty of times to be like, no, this is the answer in character. I'm willing to trust her. We'll see how it plays out, but I'm willing to trust her. Alright, I'll tell you. Kano agreed. Breaking police oath. Code, whatever. The girl gave a tiny nod. But first, what's your name? Canada. Canada? Kano thought back to the grisly scene at the Foreign Syndicate's hideout. Yeah, she killed them all. Probably with that knife. Did she do that? Yes. Probably didn't even break a sweat, actually. He was almost afraid to wonder. There was still a lingering trace of adolescence in this strange girl's face. It was hard to believe someone so young could be a covert Middle Eastern operative. And yet Kano had seen how quickly she'd been able to render Teteno unconscious. Alright then. Guess I'll go first, Canada began. There's someone out there trying to get their hands on the antiviral drug, which we kinda knew. My objective is to eliminate this person. I originally thought it was somebody who was trying to, like, sell it or something, but now we believe it to be the organization who wants to use the virus as a weapon, but who knows at this rate. Oh, yeah, Alpha Red. And put a stop to their plan. Kano felt neither surprise nor horror at her use of the term eliminate. After all, that had happened today. He realized his sensibilities had gone numb. This person you're after. You're talking about an arms dealer named Alpha Red, aren't you? Canada nodded. Wesker. Alpha Wesker. The UA virus has been weaponized and tested several times on the battlefield, to great effect. Oh shoot. No, we only know about him in name. We haven't actually seen, and we know nothing about him other than is a mastermind, is good at planning things out, plans things out so perfectly they're imperfect. So yeah. The antiviral would render this weapon wholly ineffective. Countries the world over are dying to get their hands on it. Then why did Alpha Red orchestrate this kidnapping? If the goal is to get the antiviral, why not just steal it from the laboratory? There's a lot about this kidnapping case that still didn't add up. True, yeah. Kano was sure Alpha Red's plan was hidden in these baffling details. Lab security at Okoshi Pharmaceuticals is practically perfect. The place is under surveillance 24 hours a day, and getting to where the antiviral is stored requires bypassing 3 sophisticated electronic locks. Getting the antiviral out is impossible. Unexpectedly, a sly grin appeared on Canada's face. If you were Alpha Red, how would you steal it? She asked. Huh? Kano was taken aback by the sudden question. He thought good and hard about how to answer. There must be some way to get those locks open, right? Asawa heads up the lab. Wouldn't he be able to get it out? Can't sneak something out, but you can sneak something in. Good drug as pharmacy sellers. Hey Zelf, thank you so much for the raid. How you doing? Welcome to Viperland in the chat. How did your stream go? What were you playing tonight? I know last time you were doing some Dark Souls. What was tonight's menu? I'm gonna hit B because that's what ended up happening. We know that, effectively. Yeah, I don't know if it matters either. She might just call you a baka otherwise. Oh, hold on, let me get a... more Dark Souls, gotcha. There we go, get the read going on. Sorry, the shout out as well. And hello, Cynic Arctic. Welcome to Viperland in the chat as well. Asawa heads up the lab. Wouldn't he be able to get it out? More Dark Souls tonight. Went terribly for the first 3 minutes. Oh, game broke. CPU twice and crack. Wow. Wow, out of nowhere too, because it's been going smoothly otherwise. That sucks. Sorry to hear that. Technical issues on streams suck. Always. No. Accessing the storage facility requires the authentication of both Kenji Osawa and Mamoru Tanaka. It's impossible, even for one of them, to gain entry alone. That's right, Stanley had mentioned the same thing. Alright, well, let's... Yeah, it was going fine until tonight. Sucks. Yeah. Dark Souls, yeah. It tells your computer to get good. This sort of DLC. Oh, nice. I didn't do the second DLC. I only did the first one, and even then I got stuck on the last boss of it. Stanley had mentioned the same thing. The lab security also performs a thorough body search at the building's exit. This ensures that employees can't sneak materials out on their way home from work. First is no one? Yes, correct. And the second is the one that you do towards the end. Ringed City. The level of security was perhaps understandable. Kano tried to think of other ways to gain access to the drug, but none came to him. 6 days ago, Alpha Red injected Hitomi Osawa with the UA virus. What? The tale had taken a sudden and very unexpected turn. So it wasn't only Maria who had been infected, but Hitomi as well. And 6 days ago at that. Wait, hold on. Hitomi Osawa was perfectly healthy earlier today. So that must mean... Exactly. Kenji Osawa administered the antiviral to her. An unsettling thought occurred to Kano. It was supposedly impossible for Osawa to access the antiviral all by himself. But if he'd been able to give it to his daughter all the same, then that had to mean... He needed Mamoru Tanaka's help to do it, of course, Canada said. Which is why Alpha Red bribed Tanaka ahead of time. So that's what happened. Tanaka had been paid off to inject Hitomi with the virus. Getting Osawa to take action at that point wouldn't have been difficult. But why go to such lengths to get the antiviral administered to Hitomi? why would Alpharad have Hitomi infected with the virus, only to then have her father cure it? It's been roughly a week since she was given the antiviral. The DDS is still in her body. The what? Essentially, taking blood from Hitomi Osawa would now allow someone to extract minuscule amounts of the antiviral. Kano was stunned. Suddenly, all these seemingly unrelated threads were beginning to form a pattern. So, since getting the antiviral itself out of the lab wasn't an option, Alpharad must have thought of using a human vessel, he murmured. Which means the thing that Alpharad's really after is... Canada nodded. Yes, Hitomi's blood, she finished. Alpharad specifically requested that Hitomi make the ransom handoff, Canada said. Additionally, the crime syndicate was hired to carry out a relay with the attaché case containing the ransom money. This would disrupt the investigation and distract the police, allowing the kidnappers to target Hitomi in secret. Wait, no. Hold on. There was something about this story that still made no sense to Kano. Tell me this, he said to Canada. Why not just kidnap Hitomi in the first place? We know the answer to that, so I don't know if he would. Why not use Tanaka for the vessel instead of Hitomi? Is there really no other way to get the antiviral? I'm gonna say it's A. Even though we kinda know that they tried that, he doesn't. Whereas the Tanaka one, you can make the argument of like, the Tanaka one's not bad. Yeah, none of them are super helpful. I'm gonna just pick A. B is tempting. C, not really. Why not just kidnap Hitomi in the first place? Yeah, it's a safe bet. That was the key question right there. Why kidnap Maria instead? If Alpharad wanted Hitomi's blood, abducting her, not her sister, was the obvious move. If the kidnappers mistaken Maria for Hitomi, surely they couldn't have been so foolish as to abduct the wrong target. Yeah. I'm gonna pick that. I'm just gonna go with that one. I mean, it could be either A or B are kind of accurate. I'm feeling B. Surely they couldn't have been as foolish. So, kidnapping Maria must have been on, oh, no, then that's wrong. Whoops. But it didn't add up. No matter how he looked at it, Kano couldn't seem to use him. It's my fault that Maria was kidnapped. Okay, so it might not matter anyway. Canada looked away. I contacted her before this all started. I told her about the kidnapping plan, and I gave her a GPS beacon to give to her sister, so that I could track Hitomi's location after she was abducted. But my plan backfired. Maria switched places with Hitomi and let herself get taken by Alpharad. What the hell? Why hadn't Maria taken this to the police? Or if she was so determined to protect her sister, why not just get her to leave town or something like that? There must have been some sort of accident though, Canada continued. The GPS was never turned on after the kidnapping, and I wasn't able to track Maria down. But there was something that even Alpharad hadn't counted on. Canada cast a glance over at Tenteno. This person right here, she said. What about C? Fair. It seems like they didn't matter anyway, though. So Tenteno had disrupted Alpharad's plan by going after Hitomi himself. Considering where it's all led, Canada continued, Alpharad must be panicking about now. But we can't let down our guard. Even now, I'm sure the mastermind is thinking of some way to fit what this man has done into the master plan. So it's a perfectly imperfect plan. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, we've covered this a few times. Precisely. Canada flashed Kano an approving grin. I heard that from Stanley, Kano said. The man who drove you to the hospital earlier. That case officer, huh? Case officer? So that was it. Stanley was the CIA. Yeah, we probably could have guessed that. Family Circle who screwed up Alpharad. Yeah, honestly, the U.S. Embassy in Akasaka functions as the headquarters of the CIA's Japan's branch. As the embassy building is not reliably secure, however, the agency carries out many of its activities in specially constructed embassy annex facilities, under the guise of cultural exchange organizations. There are reportedly over 100 CIA personnel active in Japan, but given the inherent secrecy involved, the exact number is not officially known. Go figure. Now that Kano thought about it, it all made sense. Since Alpharad is an arms dealer with worldwide connections, I don't know what nation might be trying to obtain the antiviral. Obviously, any country that has the viral weapon would want to prevent their enemies from obtaining it. It's no huge surprise that people are butting in trying to put a stop to Alpharad's plan. The tiny beeping sound caught Kano's attention. I'm sure it's good. Canada pulled out a PDA from her breast pocket. Personal Digital Assistant. Refers to various types of small portable devices for information management, usually also referred to as a handheld PC, in the days before cell phones. Oh, in the days before smartphones. Interesting. The GPS I gave to Maria has just been powered on. Last we saw she still had the necklace, but we don't know what's happened since then. Now I can find her location. Where is she? She's on the move. But why is the GPS suddenly active now? She knows a lot, true, but for what it's worth, her sole purpose that we know of is to take down Alpharad. That has been not her sole purpose in this moment. Her sole purpose for her life right now is to take this man down. Yeah, it stinks of bait, but since we can't play as Tama anymore, we don't know. Well, why is the GPS suddenly active now? Canada frowned. At any rate, I've told you what I know. Now tell me where Hitomi is. Alright. Kano got out his phone and called Stanley. The American was quick to pick up. What's going on? Where's Hitomi? We're on our way to Endo Electronics in Danganronpa. Haha. Ooh, that's gonna be something. Endo Electronics? Why are you going there? Kano was familiar with the dilapidated old storefront. He had passed by the place countless times. Too long of a story. There's a lot that's happened. Fair, Stanley replied. I'm getting less suspicious of Stanley as time goes on. But one of the few things we know about Alpharad is that he has connections to the CIA. Which lends at least some amount of suspicion, but like, as time goes on, Stanley seems less suspicious. Kinda like Minorikawa, a little gruff, comes off as a little bit of an asshole, but he's proving to be much more reliable and a decent, like, guy as times go on. So, like, I'm definitely having less suspicions about him. How are things on your end? About as bad as they could be, but I'm getting closer to the truth. Please, make sure you keep Hitomi safe. Alpharad is after her blood. Her blood? Kano told Stanley what he'd heard from Canada. I see. So that's what's going on. Once we're finished with things in Danganronpa, I'll bring Hitomi right back to the precinct. Where is she? Canada asked as soon as Kano had hung up. She's on her way to an electronics store in Danganronpa. I see. Canada checked Maria's location on her PDA. First, I need to get Maria, she said. I'll get to Hitomi after that. I'm going with you. Be my guest. With that, Canada was off and running. Is she just gonna parkour her way down or something? Kano took one last glance at the unconscious Teteno, then hurried after Canada as fast as he could. You should take the unconscious Teteno's gun. If you were a smart person, you would take the unconscious Teteno's gun away from him. But okay. They ran from South Hill in non-payday towards Shibuya Station. They never. So, like, it's not exclusively him. Nobody does it. As they darted and weaved madly through the narrow side streets, Canada took an occasional glimpse at her PDA. It felt to Kano like they must be taking the shortest possible route to Maria's location. He stayed quiet, keeping pace as Canada led the way. Now, I don't think it did, but it definitely got shot out of his hand. Maybe? I don't think so, though. Before he knew it, they were heading up Danganronpa. In not too long, they'd be at Endo Electronics. Hey, Kano called out to Canada. What? She shouted back without turning. Are you sure this is the right area? Are you doubting the GPS? No, it's not that. Actually, can I see that GPS unit? I'm gonna say A. I don't think taking a look at her BDA is gonna solve anything. I'm leaning A. Yeah, I don't feel like looking at it would solve anything. I don't think she'd do it either, so... No, it's not that. Kano scanned the area. It's just that Endo Electronics is right up ahead. What? Yeah, I feel like that's more pressing information. Canada stopped abruptly. What are you suggesting? The twins are heading from the same location. That's my guess. Still, what did that actually mean? Kano hadn't figured that out yet. Why is Maria heading there? They took off running again, and before long, Endo Electronics came into view. Canada stopped in front of the shop door. Right here, she said, glancing again at her GPS. I knew it, Kano thought. Endo Electronics, the same place Hitomi was headed. Guess we're all winding up together, Canada said. Or else we've been brought together. She peered keenly at the building and its surroundings. Kano swallowed hard. We? You think you're being roped into this too? Quite possibly. Canada flashed a winning smile, then started to head into the shop. Hold on, I need to report to HQ. Kano hurriedly called Kuze in his cell. Kano, what's going on? I've located Maria Osawa. Huh? What was that? Kuze's word came as a surprised and childish yelp. Come on, Canada's smile turned to a steely glare. Time is critical. He nodded silently back at her. Kano, what's the location? Kuze asked. Where are you? I can't say right now, sir. Please just leave this to me. Hey, now just hold on. Yep, there he goes. Alfred is in the building. But Kano ignored the director's squawking and hung up. Canada had already entered the shop. She seemed wholly unconcerned by the idea that she might be playing right into Alfred's hands. Despite her youth, she clearly thought of herself as quite capable. She took down a whole squad of trained professionals, whatever. Warily, he followed after her. After navigating a veritable cavern of junk, they came to a door that led to the living area beyond. Canada quietly opened the door and immediately stepped inside. The home was divided into a dwindling area and a workroom. A dwelling area, I don't know why it said dwindling. A man's voice could be overheard from the workroom, raised in anger. Don't you want to save Suzune? Who? So we know who's already in there. Ooh, Aki's back. Yeah, Kano and Canada crept closer. Peering through the next doorway, they saw a tense confrontation in progress. Yeah, no kidding tense. No kidding at all. Maria and Stanley were standing there, looking down at a middle-aged man who had restrained Hitomi with a stun gun pressed to her throat. Oh, cool. Dad, of course I want to help Suzune. A young man stepped into view, speaking to the older fellow. But do you think this is what she'd want you to do? Kano watched intently, tensing for action. There was so much at risk here. He was about to barge into the workroom when Canada grabbed him by the shoulder. Let's wait and see how this goes first, she whispered. He realized this was good advice. If they provoke the older man, things could very well take a sharp turn for the worse. And you do have Stanley in there as well. They just have to hope that the young man could talk him down. Now we know how to get to Aki when we need to. Like, I knew it, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. Like, I knew it, doesn't mean I had to like it, though. Alright, we go into Aki then. Yep, time to go to Aki. Alrighty. Man, making us play this all out of order for us. Aki told Stanley and Hitomi what his father had done. As she listened, Hitomi hung her head. Her face was sallow. I'm so sorry, Aki told her. I'm not really sure what to say. He clenched his fist so hard his knuckles popped, struggling to keep his emotions in check. So if I were rendered brain dead, you could help your sister, Hitomi murmured. Oh. a state where brain function has ceased irreversibly. In Japan, there are two conditions for declaring brain death. The first is that the patient must be comatose and in a state of apnea, no longer breathing, due to damage to the brain. The second is that the root cause is diagnosed and it is deemed that no reasonable treatment will restore brain function. Stop, Aki said quickly. Please, don't say things like that. A sad look came to Hitomi's face as she pressed her right hand to her heart. I mean, to find out like this. She turned to Aki, tears glistening in her eyes. I want to help your sister, but you shouldn't have... Nobody should ever be asked to give up their life like that. Like, don't even joke like that. We have other things to worry about right now. This time it was Stanley who cut her off. Remember, Alpharad is after you, Hitomi. Isn't that what Canada told you? Yeah, she said I was the mastermind's target. Hitomi wiped her tears away with her fingertips. So, Alpharad and Aki's father are after the same thing, Stanley said. Is that just a coincidence? Probably, but I don't know. It didn't sound like he thought so. Oh, Alpharad could easily, have just been like, huh, maybe that's how he got the info. That could easily be how he got the information. Because that was one of the things, that was one of the things we were all like, how did he know, though? People don't make their blood type, especially rare types like that, a public thing. If he was tipped off, that would absolutely be how things could happen. Hold up, Aki growled, which means that he absolutely would have known about Teteno, and that was part of his plan, though. If he's a mastermind that makes perfectly imperfect plans, that was part of his imperfect plan, then. Yeah. Ripped off right as the attaché case hand started. Yeah. Hold up, Aki growled, leaning in from the back seat. No, that makes sense. Yeah, my dad's way out of line, but he did what he did for Suzune. He wouldn't work with terrorists. Not willingly, not intentionally. I'm not saying he's deliberately aiding terrorists, Stanley replied coolly. It's common sense that a pro wouldn't get an amateur involved with their plans. That makes it too likely that a clumsy misstep will cause things to fall apart. But then again, that's not the way Alpharad thinks. So, actually, the likelihood of failure could be part of the plan. Aki thought back to what Canada had said earlier. Perfectly imperfect. If you achieve your goals using accidental means, the outline becomes blurred, and it makes it hard for anyone outside looking in to grasp what the actual plan is. Not only have they put together a perfect plan, they've purposely left certain tiny holes in it. So if we assume the plan has failed, this slip-up might be exactly what Alpharad wants, Stanley muttered. Sort of an intentional hole, then, Aki said. Stanley snorted. Canada told you guys that too, huh? If that's the case, then you really are a fool. What did you just call me? Aki barked. I mean... if you've known all along how formidable this opponent is, you should have given Hitomi over to the police custody right away. It's only a matter of dumb luck that either of you are still alive right now. That's kind of true. Dumb luck and Aki being a badass. Let's not... Yeah, Aki's dumb, and he does have luck, so dumb luck is a good part of it. But Aki's also a badass. Look, luck or not, me and Hitomi have managed to get by safely. That's all that matters. What exactly is the relationship between you two, anyhow? Are you guys dating? Aki and Hitomi exchanged glances. When Hitomi hesitated uneasily, Aki decided he better speak up. No, it's not like that. We just happened to run into each other earlier today. Guess I'm not the kind of guy who can abandon someone in trouble. Can't abandon someone in trouble, huh? You sure you're not just trying to make yourself feel self-important? There are plenty of people out there that you can't see who are also in trouble, who are also suffering. The real Kiryu of the game. If you only help the ones close at hand, then what's the point, really? The world's a lot bigger than you can imagine, and there's a lot you're blind to. So what? If I see someone who's in trouble, I'm supposed to just ignore them? Nah, I can't do that. If I see someone who's collapsed from hunger, I'm not gonna just walk on by because there are people starving somewhere else in the world. Aki gets it. Yeah, there might be bigger, better things, like there might be bigger issues out there, but that doesn't mean that helping the individual person you see in need is bad. I'd be all, hey, let me treat you to a beef bowl, or whatever. Aki gets it. You couldn't have come up with a smarter example, Stanley replied with a tiny laugh. No, probably not. Okay, so I'm an idiot. His words. Don't get me wrong, I love Aki. Not the brightest. The best. His theme song and Bossman's theme songs. Good themes. Okay, so I'm an idiot, Aki scowled. My bad. Stanley laughed again. It's been an interesting day, he said. I was with another fellow earlier who was just like you. Meaning what? Was he an idiot too? Yeah, he was an idiot. Do all you Japanese have that problem? Hardly. My little sister is so smart she'd make your eyes pop out. That's what smart people do. Well, I'm sure relieved to hear that. If everyone in this country were as dumb as you guys, I might actually start to like this place. I'm liking Stanley more as time goes on. Huh. What does that even mean? Talk so I can understand, man, Aki shot back. But Stanley didn't respond. Instead, he stuck his head out the car window, peering at the road ahead. They were close to Shibuya Station now, and the traffic had ground to a halt. Gridlock again, Stanley grumbled. It's probably better to walk the rest of the way to Endo Electronics. I'm Team Stanley. Yeah, I really hope he's not evil now. He pulled over on the side of the road. Specifically, the shoulder that runs along either side of the traveled portion of the roadway. A place where trash tossed out the windows of moving cars tends to accumulate. Tossing cigarette butts and empty cans out into the street can potentially hurt people, and it definitely makes a mess. Please don't let her. He's the... What's the Wesker equivalent to a red herring? He's that. Aki got out of the car, feeling his guts knot up with worry. Pretty soon, he was going to have to confront his father. Seeing the roadway just lined with like food signs and stuff like that, it's just making me flash back to Yakuza. Chris Redfield? Yeah, I guess so. Stanley gave Aki a look. Are you scared about meeting with your father? I'm not scared. First things first, I'm gonna punch him right in the face, then we can have ourselves a chat. Don't let your emotions get out of control. Your father might be one of the key players in this case. Wait, might not? Okay, might be. I don't give a damn about that. Aki took Hitomi by the hand and started walking. Why, hiccups, why? They'd gone up and down Danganronpa so many times today already. They have, haven't they? But this was probably the last time he and Hitomi would make their way up the hill together. His anger rising, Aki picked up speed as he marched onward, wanting to confront his father as soon as possible. Aki walked at an easy pace, wanting to delay the end of their time together just a little longer. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. B, more time with Hitomi, but maybe we don't get there in time for something. Maybe something happens along the way. And pissed Aki, also factual. This is somebody who's trying to take a life. Like, somebody he knows and cares about. Both the taker and the takee at this rate. I'm leaning pissed Aki. Yeah, I'm leaning pissed Aki. His anger rising. Aki picked up speed as he marched onward. Watch, he just trips over something, snaps his neck, bad end. Wanting to confront his father as soon as possible. His father was wrong. Even if he was acting to save Suzune, he was absolutely wrong. A crime was a crime, regardless of the motive. This was a crime his father needed to atone for, and if he resisted, Aki would take him down, even if he had to use his fists. Even if I have to use my fists. It's flashback time. Everything is flashback time. A memory from long ago arose in Aki's mind. A pure white karate gi, thrusting out with his left fist. Daisuke collapsing on the floor. One of many memories of his father that Aki could not forget. Kneeling before the memorial altar of his mother, Kotone, Aki wept uncontrollably. He clutched his ohajiki tightly in his hands, a toy made of small coin-shaped glass beads, somewhat similar to marbles. The typical game involves flicking one's pieces into the opponent's with a fingertip. Specific rules vary greatly by region. Aki had always been rather clingy with his mother. When she was alive, she had often joined him for ohajiki, origami, and the like. On this particular day, Aki had come home miserable after getting bullied by the neighborhood kids for acting like a wimp. Aki. He turned to see his father, holding 2 cups of shaved ice. Come here for a bit. They sat on the stairs together, eating their sweet frozen confection. What, you want to get together? Wow, you want to get tougher? Those are words. Those are the words it says. I don't know what I thought it was. Daisuke's words were soft and simple. How about you and me get tougher together? Aki looked up at his father, frowning in confusion. How are we going to do that? Well, for starters, how about we learn some karate? Uh-oh. This means his dad's tough. This means as tough as Aki is, his dad might be equally tough. Karate? Aki's face twisted up unhappily at the idea. He couldn't even imagine himself punching or kicking anyone. That'll be alright, his dad said. I'll go with you, don't worry. Daisuke flexed one of his scrawny arms. His biceps bulged up the tiniest bit. Aki was well aware that his father wasn't much of an athlete. There had been an athletics meet at his grade school. Even now, the memory of Daisuke tripping clumsily during the... Wrong button. During the parent participation relay was burned into Aki's mind. A type of children's event where the parents who have come to watch their children compete are asked to join in with them. Daisuke took part in the tug-of-war, only to get tangled up in the rope and dragged over the line. Aki was understandably disheartened by his father's embarrassing display, but after eating the lunch his father had made for him, his spirits quickly returned. Daisuke had made rice balls that were clumsily oversalted, but Aki could tell how hard he'd worked to prepare them. Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna be there. And so the two began training together at a local karate dojo. Aki put on his white gi and fastened his obi tightly. As he did so, he felt as if his feelings were being anchored in place as well. Ichi, ni, san. It's 1, 2, 3. I can only count to 4 in Japanese, and I absolutely blame Chobits for it. Aki's gi sleeves made a whooshing sound as he thrust out his fist in time with the sensei's chant. Even simple kata practice made him feel like he was getting stronger somehow. His dad, having left Suzune in the care of their neighbors, was working up a sweat alongside him. Where would be without Potts Wesker accusations? Yeah. But he was at, like, don't get me wrong, I'm glad you want to see it through, but also, like, I hope it doesn't impact your sleep too much. But he was out of shape, and his technique was shaky. He was soon exhausted, and went to lean up against the dojo wall. Oh, maybe he's not so strong then. That's okay. Aki stepped out of the training circle, and called out to his father. Dad, are you okay? Yeah, just gonna take a little break. Daisuke sounded like he was on the edge of hyperventilating. Thanks, Dad. Huh? What for? For asking me to come take karate lessons with you. Aki was sure he'd never have dared to go to the dojo alone. Hey, just so long as you're liking it, now go on, get back to training. With a deep bow, Aki resumed his kata practice. As they were walking home from the dojo, Aki turned to his father. How come you want to get stronger, Dad? He asked. I mean, you're not getting bullied by your friends. Daisuke was quiet for a few moments before answering. His words came out awkward and embarrassed. I was picked on a lot when I was your age too, Aki. I had a friend who would always come and bail me out. A friend? Yeah, apparently. I mean, I get why his dad did what he did in current day. It's massive amount of stress with an answer knowingly thrust upon you by an outside source. Like, I'm not defending his actions, but I get why he did it. Still clearly bad, but like, I understand. Yeah, a friend. A distant look came to his father's eyes. He was a real fighter. I always looked up to him. I wanted to be strong. Yeah, right? You're right. Like, every person we know as a father in this game gets bad luck. But at least they're alive, you're right. I always looked up to him. I wanted to be strong, like him. His expression turned lonely. I don't get to see him anymore, though. Why not? Aki asked. Did he die? No, nothing like that. And did you guys have a fight? Something like that. Daisuke smiled sadly. He stared out into the sky for a while before speaking up again. So I imagine that this was the right path? If we had a bad end after this, I'll be confused. His name is Tateno. My friend. That's his name. Aki's father increased his pace. Like, Kajiwara was already in running for, like, best character. But, like, now, like, just because of his goofiness, but now he feels human, too. Like, and it's clearly gone through too much. Aki's father increased his pace. Come on, he said. We have to go and pick up Suzume. After that, despite Aki's questions, Daisuke would say no more about his old friend. By the time he was almost done with grade school, Aki had grown up fit and strong, almost unrecognizable from his younger self. Perhaps he'd had the physical knack in him all along. He was chosen as a representative for the boys' karate team, even managing to take second place in a national tournament. Nobody bullied Aki anymore. Oh yeah, that would explain why he knew Aki for sure, but Aki wouldn't recognize him. One time, Daisuke suggested that two of them do some sparring. Aki may have been a national competitor, sure, but he was still at grade school, squaring off against an adult. His father had been training for close to 2 years now as well, and his confidence had grown accordingly. The Yakuza taught me one thing, it's even the goofiest characters. Oh yeah. Aki was excited to be able to face off against his old man. Early on in their karate training, Aki's kumite had seemed rather hopeless. He'd been shocked that his out-of-shape father was able to overpower him, but also pleased to get a sense of how strong the man was. This time, Aki thought he might well lose again, but he was going to go all out. As they adopted their fighting stances, Daisuke's face was full of confidence. The instructor gave the signal to begin, and Aki opened with a sharp low kick. Shattering his ankles permanently, Daisuke didn't guard against it. The blow caught him in the thigh. He looked at Aki like he'd allowed himself to take the hit, not fearing the effect of a child's kick. Aki proceeded to unleash several more low kicks in the same spot. Bit by bit, Daisuke's face revealed his discomfort. Finally, he yanked his leg away. That was when Aki realized his father wasn't letting himself get hit on purpose. He was just unable to keep up with the speed of his son's footwork. If that was the case, Aki felt bad about exploiting his dad's weakness. He decided to leave his leg alone. Instead, he aimed to punch at his father's midsection. And killed him. No. He was shocked by the impact as the blow struck home. He hadn't attacked with a great deal of force. He'd just thrown a light midsection punch as a check. Oh no. But as Aki pulled back his fist, Daisuke crumpled to the floor, writhing in pain as he clutched his gut. Aki stared in disbelief at his own hand. That was the last day that Daisuke went to the dojo. At the Chun-Li lightning legs, and apparently the super-powered Saitama punch. Your dad's pathetic. Yeah, he's such a loser. Aki was on his way home from practice, and some older students from the dojo had started ribbing on him. What did he just say? These kids were middle schoolers, but Aki wasn't about to back down. So you just saw a guy level an adult with a punch. An adult that's been training for 2 years. You just saw a kid level him with a punch. And your first instinct is to go find that kid and make fun of him? You're stupid! These kids were middle schoolers, but Aki wasn't about to back down. He thrust out with a quick punch, stopping it just short of one boy's nose. Go on, say that again. I'll kick your ass. The older boys went pale, then took off and ran. Yeah. This small victory did nothing to bolster Aki's spirits. His father had looked so small and lonely heading away after quitting karate. But Aki didn't think there was anything pathetic about that. Sure, maybe by now he was better at karate than his father, but really, what difference did that make? In growing stronger, he'd learned something. Using force to win out over someone else didn't mean anything. Strength alone didn't determine a person's worth. Aki loved and respected his father for going to the dojo with him. Beating him in a karate match didn't change the way he felt. Maybe he's going there to quickly resolve it, or maybe he's not going there to punch him out. I don't know. That's trash, man. Aki resurfaced from his memories to hear Stanley talking on his phone. I see, so that's what's going on. Once we're finished with things in Danganronpa, I'll bring Hitomi right back to the precinct. Curious, Aki turned to the American. We were just talking to... What's that about just now? By bring Hitomi in, do you mean you're gonna arrest her? So we know Seed... No, let's not be confrontational. I don't think the who matters, I think the what matters. I mean, Aki doesn't know that, but I think we know that the what matters way more than the who. He won't know him, so... What was that about just now? Stanley's reply was clipped. I know what they're after now. With that, Stanley proceeded to wrap up his phone call. Guess I'm not going to get much... Okay, so I don't think it mattered what we picked. Get much out of this guy, Aki thought. By now, they could see Endo Electronics up ahead. Aki was about to hurry inside when Stanley stopped him. I'll go in first. You two wait out here. No way, this is my dad we're talking about. And you don't think it's dangerous to bring Hitomi right to him? Well, alright. Man, Stanley does a bad job if he ends up with a taser to her neck. Wait here for a bit, and once we know it's safe, we'll head in. Like, it's a good plan, but he clearly fails. You cool with that? I'm cool with that. Stanley stepped inside. Like, he clearly screws something up in there. Aki fussed about impatiently, staring at the entryway. The palm of his clenched fist was sweating. Never before in his life had he wanted to just deck his old man. Like him or not, he states facts. Yep. Yeah. Hitomi watched him uneasily. Hitomi. Yes? I'm sorry. I really don't want you to have to see this, but I think you're about to witness the crowning shame in Endo family history. Aki, don't say that, Hitomi said. She squeezed his hand. I might have to put up a censor bar. This is too lewd. This is too lewd. He found his other fist unclenching. Please, you have to try to talk to your father. Yeah. Yeah, I know. We've gone full hand-holding. Oh, suddenly there was a loud crash from inside the building. Shut it down. The time for waiting had passed. Let's go. I don't think a loud crash means it's safe. Aki and Hitomi raced inside, barging into the living quarters without bothering to shed his shoes. He heard his father's voice coming from the workroom. Dad! Aki hurried through the workroom door and saw Stanley holding his father pinned across the desk. How did things go so wrong? Oh, because he's got a taser hidden, I guess. Let me go, please, let me go! Daisuke thrashed both of his legs. Stanley, please, let my... Aki, let my father go. I want to talk to him. Like, I get it. His heart's in the right place. But he's not clearly in a position or a state of mind to be talking right now. Stanley snorted dismissively, but did as he was asked. Daisuke stood up, rubbing at a sore wrist. Dad, please, you have to tell me. Where is Maria? Maria? What are you talking about? Daisuke wouldn't meet his eyes. Don't play dumb with me. Aki pointed at Hitomi. You know who this is, don't you? Hitomi Osawa, the girl you've been after. If he didn't know it then, he knows now. Maria is her sister. But Daisuke remained silent. You're gonna pretend you didn't call the hospital? Nothing about maybe being able to get your hands on a heart? I mean, seriously, it's all so simple. Even I can tell what's been going on. You've been watching me and Hitomi through the surveillance cameras, and you were telling that guy with the cane where we were. The blood began to drain from his father's face. Don't you go quiet on me. If I'm wrong, then go ahead. Tell me the truth. Daisuke's arm shot out suddenly, knocking an external hard drive from his desk onto the floor. It was over and done before Stanley could stop him. Well, that was probably evidence. Stanley hunched down and picked up the shattered drive. Guessing there was important data on here. Footage from the cameras, maybe? I have no idea what you're talking about, Daisuke spat. You can't do this to an innocent person, Dad, Aki shouted, grabbing his father by the collar. There was a sound of footsteps from out in the shop. Someone was quickly getting closer. Stanley grabbed Hitomi by the hand and pulled her back against the wall. Did somebody come in before we got there? And on the other, Aki stiffened as he turned his gaze to the door. Maybe something happened in between.
Oh no!
Damn it! Game! Oh. I mean, I get it. They want us to play every story. I get it. But, oh, that hurts. We gotta go Osawa next, right? We have to go the Osawa route. Oh. Yeah, we didn't get any jumps. We have to... Oh, you're right. A young man. You're right. Thank you, Potions. I forgot. Thank you. I forgot about that. Oh man. Okay, so it's just a delay, not a... Oh man. Oh, wrong one. Ah, no. Whoops. Yeah, I know keep out. I hit X too many times. Sorry. Oh man, now I'm teasing people too. Yeah, let's go back to that. I totally forgot. I was so distracted by the cutoff that I totally forgot. Guess we'll never know. Oh man. You want to hear really bad news though? There's only 30 minutes left in the stream. Oh, damn! Won't say a word. Oh. Everything's okay, don't worry about it. Okay, third try's the charm, right? I don't know why this is gonna take 3 tries. But it's fine. Okay. Just have to hope the young man could talk him down. That should not have been the hardest thing we did tonight. That's not the right move. We can't do that. I'm going Osawa next then, because he's with Donkey Kong, and they're going to be the dynamic duo. So if I'm picking somebody next, we're going Osawa. Nothing against Minorikawa. I want to see how his thing plays out, but like, Osawa and Donkey Kong is way more important at this rate. I can't believe after all that, it was for nothing. Ooh. 4 times the charm. Alright. Osawa. Let's do the thing. I'm sorry about shit. I assure you I didn't do it intentionally. The rain won't let up. The sound is growing louder and louder inside my head. It is the sound of regret spattering against my heart. My emotions surge with a terrible storm. Are those Aya lyrics? Those are going to be Aya lyrics, right? Those are going to be lyrics, right? He's thinking about her music as he drives around, right? Right? I never wished for this. Oh, maybe not. Never expected my heart to be dragged so far beyond my maybe not then. Aya runs everything. We can't save Maria. We can't save Maria. We can't save Maria. The words stormed through Osawa's mind in a relentless cacophony. He'd called up images of the bodies from the human testing trials on his computer monitor. He couldn't help but imagine his daughter in the same gruesome state. In just a few more hours, Maria would begin hemorrhaging blood and die, just like the people in these pictures had. We can't save Maria. We can't save Maria. We can't save Maria. He couldn't shake the words or the reality from his mind. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Osawa began pounding his fist fiercely on the desktop. Sir, what are you doing? Kajiwara tried to intervene, but he kept on pounding away. I need to hear it again. When he finally ceased, the pain of the repeated impacts lingered in his hands. My research was never about any sincere desire to help people, and now I'm paying the price for that. The one time it finally matters, I can't even save my own daughter. Mr. Osawa, Kajiwara set a hand on his shoulder. You can always blame yourself later, but for now, think again, good and hard. Is there really no other way to save Maria? Nothing else we could try? Osawa shook his head. The only means we had left was using Tanaka's password to unlock the doors. And now Tanaka is dead. There's no other way? Is there a possibility that Mr. Tanaka told someone else his password? This was something Osawa hadn't considered. Was there anyone Tanaka might have shared his password with? I don't know. Like the woman he was having a relationship with. Maybe. You know. Only one person came to mind. Well, yes. There may be someone. You're referring to I. Oh, so he already knows. Oh. I, sir? Kajiwara cast his eyes down. Oh. Awkward turtle. You figure that out, then. Yes. Back during the commotion over that listening device. A necktie clip isn't typically the sort of present one gives to one's husband's co-worker. And yet, although some might consider it somewhat, inappropriate, Mr. Tanaka was wearing it as if it were a matter of course. Which, implies something about their relationship. Kajiwara's voice trailed off. He coughed apologetically and tried again. I realize it's an awkward situation, sir, but please, check with your wife. Even if I does happen to know the password, that does us no good if Maria gets quarantined someplace we can't reach her. Dang later. Oh, yeah, that was a later, right? Yeah, I understand, Mr. Osawa. I'll bring... that might play into a bad end. Like, if we didn't get that bad end with the suit, we'd never know what that meow was. That might actually play into a bad end. I understand, Mr. Osawa. I'll bring Maria to you, then. I'll do everything in my power to make that happen. The detective then produced a bunch of... We ate two! We ate two! How? Like, I know he just... If there's not a bad end that explains that he has a secret banana pocket dimension, I'm going to actually be a little upset. Disappointed. Not upset. Disappointed. These are all left over. You're more than welcome to them, sir. Despite his gentle smile, the rest of his face was firm with resolve. You said you didn't care whether other people understood you, didn't you, Mr. Osawa? Osawa nodded guardedly. At the risk of being presumptuous, sir, I understand you, Kajiwara said. I used to be quite the workaholic myself. You're just like me, innocent and awkward. On another occasion, Kajiwara was shocked to run into a man who looked just like him. The fellow was a stylist at a hair salon Kajiwara visits on occasion. He let out a gasp of surprise of his own upon seeing the detective. Kajiwara felt a peculiar connection and was expecting to go to the salon regularly. When the stylist asked what he did for a living and Kajiwara answered honestly that he was a detective, the other man's face went pale and he bolted out of the building. Kajiwara never saw the man again after that. Maybe Sauce disguised himself as him? I guess. Calling yourself innocent, huh? How modest of you. Osawa let out a sardonic chuckle, and after a moment, Kajiwara joined in. The next time I see you, Mr. Osawa, I'll have Maria with me. The detective gave a slight bow, then left the study, a look of determination on his face. Kajiwara's a good dude. Osawa watched him go with admiration. No matter what trouble arose, the man always looked for something he could do. He really was a fellow who knew how to hang tough. Compared to that, Osawa couldn't even articulate his own self-disgust. And asking Ai about the password would also mean inquiring into her relationship with Tanaka. The prospect was daunting. Venturing into the emotional territory of another person was his weakest suit. He left his study, but somehow found himself making his way to Maria's room, not Ai's. He realized that he hadn't been into his daughter's room since a certain rainy day years before. Now he stepped quietly inside and saw Maria's world laid out before him. A small photo was set atop her neat and tidy desk. There was a close-up of someone's hands doing a cat's cradle. Whose hands were they? From the skin tone, they didn't appear to be Maria's. Several more photographs were pinned to a corkboard that hung on the wall. There were snapshots of people and townscapes from the Middle East. One glance at them, and Osawa felt like he was back there for a moment. The images weren't necessarily aesthetically pleasing, but they all looked like they'd been taken by a professional. When he spotted the last photo on the corkboard, however, he was certain that Maria had taken them all. The last picture was of Osawa himself. He was facing the camera, holding some luggage and flashing an awkward smile. It was a comical, affectionate image. He'd never known that photography was one of his daughter's hobbies. No, this went beyond a mere hobby. Did she perhaps aspire to be a professional photographer one day? She certainly had the aptitude for it from the look of things. Maria, a photographer. As he mulled the idea over, Osawa felt his chest tighten. Right now, it looked like Maria's hopes and dreams were about to be snuffed out. Her future consisted of bleeding to death a few short hours from now. Osawa stared vacantly out the window. The view from Maria's room remained unchanged from so long ago. Again, that rainy day crept back into his mind, as vivid as the present. More flashbacks? We already flashed back to that day, though, didn't we? Here we go again, I guess. On that day, Osawa was dealing with some pressing business from work. He'd ensconced himself in his study, wrestling with some paperwork, when Hitomi barged in, looking distraught. Maria's gone. Sensing that Hitomi was legitimately alarmed, Osawa hurried to Maria's room. He found a letter she'd left atop her writing desk. Dad, you only care about Hitomi. You're always working and never do anything with me, so I'm running away. A few hours earlier, he'd canceled their weekend trip to the amusement park. He just wasn't going to be able to get his work done in time. Hitomi had resigned herself readily enough, but Maria just couldn't accept it. She'd been looking forward to it for so long. She railed at him. How many times had he broken one of his promises to her? Hitomi understands why we can't go, so why can't you do the same? The cold rebuke had ended her complaining, but it was clear she didn't accept the situation. Now, Hitomi helped him look around, but they found nothing missing from Maria's room. Despite her assertion that she was running away then, it seemed like there was no point in being overly concerned. Maybe she's at the park she always goes to. Hitomi looked worried. The park was roughly a 25-minute walk from the house. It'd only take about an hour for Osawa to go get her and bring her home. And an hour was more than he could afford to spare right now. Dad, I think she's waiting for you to go after her. Osawa didn't need Hitomi to tell him that. He knew it well enough. That was what galled him so much about the situation. Why did she have to pull something like this precisely when his work was at its busiest? He'd done everything he could as a father since his wife had passed away. Why couldn't his daughter see that? It's alright. Your sister will come back. The rain was coming down pretty hard outside of the window. Do you think she brought an umbrella? Hitomi asked anxiously. I don't know, but with the rain like this, she'll come back home soon enough. He spoke the words for himself as much as for Hitomi. Then he headed back to his study and got back to work. Yeah, clearly he's learning as time goes on, but clearly past Osawa, not so. But several hours went by, and still Maria did not return. The rain had gotten even more intense, to the point where Osawa could hear it in his study. He was so concerned about his missing girl that he couldn't focus on his work, but he stubbornly refused to give in to go search for her. If you're not even getting your work done, like... Several more hours passed. At last, Maria appeared at the front door, soaking wet. Osawa met her silently in the entryway. Wet strands of hair clung to the girl's forehead as she looked up at her father with a bitter glare. You don't care what happens to me, do you? Wrong answer, yeah. Immediately Osawa smacked her across the cheek with the flat of his hand. That's the wrong response. Osawa was in the wrong here, like... That was the first time in his life he'd ever struck anyone. He hadn't known such a violent impulse could exist inside him. Maria stood there, her hand pressed to her cheek. Tears welled up in her eyes. She began to tremble. On her lip was a small bead of blood. A flood of guilt and regret rose up inside Osawa, as if he just shattered some intricate piece of glasswork. How? How could I do such a thing? He clenched his shameful hand into a fist, and in that moment, he was afraid of Maria. Afraid that his daughter could bring out such raw emotion out of him and make him do something so thoughtless. But even more, he was afraid of how stunted he was as a human being. Was someone like him really fit to be a parent? What kind of future could Maria and Hitomi hope for with a father like him? That was why he'd married Ai, as Mikino had proposed. Having a mother, he decided, would help keep his family together, despite their sad excuse for a father. But in so doing, Osawa had dug up a psychological ditch between himself and his daughters. A deep ditch, so that he could keep his daughters from being hurt. Wow. That's a very good question. I still don't understand how he got married the first or second time. So he wouldn't hurt himself. Like, I get the second one was borderline arranged at this rate, but still. How? Now Osawa was staring across that ditch, wondering if it was too wide to leap. He thought back to his earlier exchange with Kajiwara. If you get angry, you show it. If you get sad, you show it. It's human nature to let other people know how we're feeling, after all. But what if doing that hurts the other person? That's when you apologize, sir. Possible potions. Possible. Yeah. I mean, maybe, but he definitely has talked about how it's not... He talks about it as if he's been this way his whole life, not a recent thing. So she clearly married a man who was obsessed with his work, cared more about things under a microscope than other human beings, didn't share his feelings, didn't care about the feelings of others. By his own admission, hit the mic, by his own admission. That's true, but old enough to have twin daughters that were 5 at the time they died. So, assuming somehow, right out of high school, they get married, she gets pregnant, immediately, at like the age of 18, she'd still be 23 by the time she died. Assuming both of them. Ballpark shot in the dark. Which is young, but it's not that young. I don't know. It could be. You're definitely... It's not... That could be easily the case, Potions. It's just the way he talks about himself being this way all the time, like forever, that makes me think that way. But that would be a giant, jarring effect on somebody's life that could feel like forever, for absolutely sure. Yeah, you need to apologize to Maria for what he'd done that day. Still wasn't too late. It's never too late. When it comes to family, there's no such thing as game over. He recalled Pretty Honey's words. He needed to apologize to Maria, and so he needed to ask I for that password. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't envy him the conversation he's about to have. That's gonna suck. Osawa was going to have to face his wife. Like, that's gonna suck. I hate to say, this is the logical ending point. We have 8 minutes left in the stream. I doubt we'd get anything close to a logical ending point in 8 minutes in Monorikawa. But also, is Monorikawa the linchpin of this all? Because we've seen no other... jump points, right? The only jump point we found is one that doesn't work. Oh, that jump point actually goes not to there, it goes to 35. It goes to him 5 minutes in the future. So we'll have to use that, but like... yeah. All of the routes are keep out or end. Sadly, we probably won't play more of this until Friday. Positively, Friday we might legitimately finish this up. It's seeming. Tomorrow I'm taking the day off. I'm going to get a ton of rest, and I'm going to wake up stupid early, for me at least, the stupid early Tuesday, and we're going to play a ton of 14. We're going to do a bunch of story. There's a bunch of story to do, there's a bunch of side quests to do, there's beast tribes to do, there's a raid to do, there's a trial to do. We got content to do, and we're gonna do it. I'm starting with MSQ, then I'm going to hit up the raid, and anything past that, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll probably stream for a bunch, probably break for lunch, dinner, stream for a bunch. That's the plan. We'll probably have to mute the mic at certain times because nephew in the middle of the day, but I want to play the game. Wednesday we're going to play more. Potentially before D&D, definitely after D&D. It's really cool that you stuck around, Potions. I hope it doesn't impact, like, there was never any pressure for it, and I'm glad you got to witness it, but I hope it doesn't impact like sleepiness too much tomorrow. I hope you get something with caffeine or something and pull through. That's true, we'll have to farm glands. So Wednesday will be that as well. Thursday, we'll be continuing something with potions. Either, I haven't even thought about it because we've had other games to think about. It'll either be more Neo, cleaning up New Game Plus, trophies, something, or it'll be Code Vein. If Potions and or viewers have a preference, let me know. I haven't really considered it much. Friday, we're going to finish this up. Saturday is going to be a fighting game, not Smash. That one I also don't know yet either. I wish I could give you guys better answers to a lot of things, but I haven't thought about a lot of it yet. You think Code Vein? Okay, cool. Then Code Vein sounds great to me. I want to play more of this, but the timing is poor, and it's smarter for me to take tomorrow off so I can get up early for the patch. Well, Friday we're finishing this. I'm going to say that now. Friday, we're finishing it. If we finish this early, we'll start trying to hit some of the bad ends. I would actually veto that, Grim. You are like the 4th person who's trying to get me to play that, and like, no, thanks. So yeah. Let's see if we got anybody who we can raid tonight. Let's see who might be going. Man, Zelf has raided me twice, and I can't raid Zelf because we won't be playing tomorrow. Yeah, there's nobody going. I'm gonna let Autohouse grab it. Obviously, we got shoutouts tonight. We've got Ramen with the 3 heckin' year Tier 2 resubscription, which is insane. Thank you, Ramen. And Zelf with that sweet heckin' raid. And as well as that, thank everybody for being here in the chat, hanging out, being awesome, hopefully enjoying the revelations and the emotions that have been tonight's stream. Man, who would have thought that a goofy game would end up being one of these games that we were all like emotional impacting and deep and powerful and crazy. Let's get ourselves a monster. Did I remember to start the bot? I did. Oh man, that's a reference to Gigantic, and Gigantic's dead. A Discord, a quote. I did those out of order. Oh. Damn it! We're also known for a bot not working. Wow. Thank you, bot. Thank you. And sound effect. You know what? It's gotta be.
Chaos, chaos.
We played it during the stream, but it's gotta be that one. Clearly. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. Been a great time. Still loving this game. Can't wait to see how everything... Like, a lot of the pieces are together, but I can't wait to see it all play out. I can't wait for everybody to be in that one room and have stuff go down. Yeah. And also, you know, find out who else Alpha Red is. But yeah, this has been Viper of Viperland. I'll see you all next time.